Hello, friends, and welcome. We are here for the final match of Fall 2024 for NECC Overwatch. My name is Jeff, alongside 2 Tryhard Wait. We are here for the Grand Finals. We got both the D1 and the D2 Grand Finals here for you tonight.
Always a great time, and keep in mind with D2 they have 2 different playoffs, so this is the D East playoffs. So we got Cumberland Phoenix A going against Arcadia University, 2 of the most dominant teams we've seen in the east side of the D2 playoffs all season long, and I'm excited to see the culmination of these coming together to see who is going to take home that D2 East Championship.
Yeah, and then a little bit later on, we're going to have ISU taking on Winthrop as the Redbirds look to defend their title. But, yeah, we got this D2 match to start things off with. Let's not take much time up. Let's get right into our bracket here. Take a look at how Arcadia got through. This is going to be the lower bracket we are looking at, which means, just a heck of a run, as Arcadia had to fight through the hardest possible path to get here. I guess aside from going into lower quarters 1, but still, three matches through the lower bracket to make this run into the grands.
And those are some big-time teams they took out on the along the way there.
Oh, yeah.
Drexel, big-time team. Converse Gold, another big, esports organization. And Georgia Tech as well. They tend to hover right there within, the top 20 teams in collegiate. So Arcadia has been on quite a path. And let's go ahead and bring up the upper bracket, because I'm pretty sure if I remember when I was looking into this matchup, yes, exactly. So Arcadia lost to Georgia Tech Gold the first time.
Yep.
Got their revenge in the lower finals.
Yeah, and obviously, as a 5-mapper, that one was super close. And then Georgia Tech would go on to, lose 3-0 to Cumberland. If that gives you any idea of who the favorites might be here today, you would be 100% accurate. Don't let the number 2 and number 1 on the right side of the screen fool you. Cumberland are hands down the favorites coming into this matchup. This is a team that's come out of nowhere. 4 out of 5 players on this team are freshmen. I don't think anybody knew what to make of this team at the start of this fall semester, and now we know. This is looking like a top 10 team, Ray. Collegiate overall, period.
Yeah, we've been slowly just seeing the rise of this team go up through the ranks. I remember I first, heard some chimes, especially from, our good colleague Twin Salty, kind of, casually brought them up one time. And then I'm like, okay, I'll keep my eye out. I tend to like to listen to what he has to say.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just slowly start seeing they're hovering around 20, and then they just start moving up and up. And I think they're around 12 right now or something like that. So they have been doing great. And we talked about it before. The only losses this team has been taking are to top 10 programs. So heavy favorites in this matchup.
Yeah, we don't have to look back very far to see that. I'm looking back at Overwatch Collegiate Homecoming, where they're able to take a 3-2 over the number 8 ranked Bellevue. That says enough right there. They're beating top 10 teams, and their losses are to BSC, who have been shooting up like a meteor, and then to Blinn College as well. Again, 2 more top 10s. This is the caliber that we're seeing from Cumberland Phoenix here in their first semester of play.
Yeah, very excited to see if they can culminate a great year with a Division II win, because we even talked about it. It's a little surprising to see them in Division II, given the amount of talent and skill they've been playing with all season long. It will not surprise me if next season we see them make the jump up to Division I and start joining some of those big name teams that are sitting up in there.
If it's possible to do next semester, I think we could see it. Otherwise, they're just going to dominate through D2. And again, we didn't know what to make of this team at first, and now we know. Now we know Cumberland absolutely are a team that are going to be gunning for the very top. We'll take a look at our starting 5 from each squad here today. Get through into our grand finals. This is going to be a first to 4 matchup here. So, plenty of time for teams to come back and, with loser pick and maybe make a run back. We'll see if there's any strategy adjustment going on throughout this series. From Cumberland Phoenix, Heekin and Nodi in that DPS role. Definitely 2 players I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, Nodi, literally Twin Salty in our chat before was like, Nodi might go. Nodi is going to be the number 1 person looking out for. Their big time carry player for them and puts up big time numbers. So I couldn't agree. And for Arcadia, Aruda on my side. I've casted Arcadia, I want to say a couple of times this season for NECC, and Aruda and Pit, man, they really run that side for Arcadia. They are very talented players.
Both of these teams are coming in 7-0. That's the 3-2 loss for Arcadia in that winner's bracket. That's the only loss they have suffered all semester. So there are no slouches in their own right. Yeah, we're definitely giving the edge to Cumberland here a little bit, but Arcadia could 100% challenge them here, and we can be in for one banger of a grand finals.
Can't wait to see how this all is going to play out. Both teams, we talked about it, have had their moments of brilliance and their moments of dominance. I mean, it's kind of weird that they've gone through the whole season and haven't even gone against each other, that they've both reached this point undefeated and haven't crossed paths. So that opens up the door for a lot of interesting, like, you've never seen each other before. You don't know how the intricate matchups vis-a-vis each other are going to work out. And, maybe that plays well into Arcadia as the element of surprise almost for the side of Cumberland.
And maybe we've gotten a little bit more footage of Cumberland as well. Maybe there's a little bit more, game footage out there to go off of. And, I mean, we're kind of entering into an interesting meta where, we're talking about the power of the DPS players. This is such a team-oriented meta. We have been, we're knee-deep in the Mauga meta right now, where we're typically seeing 2 flex DPS to accompany the Mauga. There hasn't been much room for hit scan in this recent meta, which turns it into such a teamwork and ultimate-oriented type of environment, type of dynamic.
And given, we're kind of in this realm, especially with a lot of these leagues recently, where they're trying to give more power, more earnest, more ownership of decisions to teams, where in NECC, map number 2, they get a pick between Escort and Hybrid. When it comes to these kinds of things, it brings in situations where when we go to maps like Blizzard World, Numbani, Watchpoint Gibraltar, that's where we can start seeing I've seen Divas recently, Winston's. If we go to those dive maps, those 2 tanks are still very viable for those types of situations. So I don't think we're necessarily going to get just straight on Mauga. I mean, these teams have the luxury to take us wherever they please.
And there are defined maps that are really good for high ground tanks, like you're talking about with, I'm thinking Dorado, I'm thinking Watchpoint Gibraltar, Ilios. Ilios tends to be very Winston Diva pilled. But you could also have a lot of, room for Junker Queen as well. I mean, I know we've seen CU favor the Junker Queen a bit. Back when Orisa was kind of dominant, we saw Ginger Rifle playing a lot of the Junker Queen and playing a lot of this fast-paced stuff in that meta. So, sometimes the push maps kind of lend themselves that direction, I guess everywhere but Colosseo. We've been seeing a lot of Runasapi, which I like. But I like that middle game, right, where you have room to kind of say, wait, we have to avoid the brawl as much as possible. How can we play around that? And that agency of being able to choose between game types, at least in a couple of instances. It's not all the way down in our first of 4 here, but there are a couple instances where you can choose game type.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts. Like, I was literally casting a game the other day where it literally came down to that. One team was so dominant in the Mauga meta, and the other team was like, we can match it better with you on the dive. So after they lost the first brawl map, they were just trying to send them to dive maps. They sent it to Blizzard World. They sent it to Dorado. Like, they go, look, we'd rather match up against you on the dive. And it made the series that much more interesting, as we do have that first map in for the series. Starting out on Control, Oasis has been chosen.
And you can see here some of the choices that could lay before the losing team. Where you're right into map 2, which I think one of the most important maps of the series. You get to choose between that Hybrid Escort, and that's such a big choice that the opposite one will be played on map 5. The choice will arise again if we need that map 7. But you know what? I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, Ray. We're gonna kick things off on Oasis. We're headed to Control, and for map 1 in your Division 2 Grand Finals. Let's get into it.
As we get our first look at these 2 teams matching against each other. We've seen Cumberland and Arcadia in their own matchups against other teams, but we have not seen these 2 match up against each other, and I think that is exciting for this grand finals as we take a look. And I'm going to focus on Cumberland first, because I think that's what we expect to see, and it's the meta right now, is all that burst damage with that Mauga. The one thing that's always been interesting is Reaper has been like, you will run the Reaper, but what you run with it has been very different depending on what I've seen. I've seen the Echo Ram, but you also see Genjis and Tracers as well.
I've actually seen Sombra used very effectively as the accompaniment to the Reaper as well. So they are rolling out of this. Yeah, Arcadius are bringing something fun, and I've seen this work They are sticking with that brick backline, and it's going to be a Sojourn. A lot of times we see a Bastion to accompany this, and the Sojourn already fighting value. Oh, and the boop off the side from Finlay right out of the gate. What a start here for the underdog.
And that's exactly who I said to be watching out for, was Aruda for the side of Arcadia. Gets the opening pick in that fight, and then a huge boop from Finlay to get Gingerfell off of the map. It just beautiful opening. And with this Reinhardt composition, they're going to want to move fast and move quick, because the Mauga's definitely going to have more sustain. So they got to be pretty quick about finding these kills.
Yeah, it's not just fast, but decisive on where they go, how they use that teleporter. Pip right now just using it in the window for a little bit of extra poke damage. I mean, back in the neutral for that fast opening fight. Ooh, and Pip just gets absolutely crushed by that overrun. But the trades are there. It's a 3v3 left on this point. Both teams are missing their Juno. And Ginger Rifle's going to win out on another one. Here comes Barsoap to help back them up on this point. Start just waving that mace into the back of the Reinhardt. Not going to last long. Just buying as much percentage as they can.
That is one of my most favorite gamer tags I've seen in a while. Bar of Soap. It's just so nice. I like that. But they made some great plays there too. You know, getting those packs onto their Genji for Nodi. We see Hekendo going over to the Pharah as well. So they're really changing up how they plan to play this Mauga. So it's going to be less characters with the Mauga on the ground, but still as much chaos with that Genji, and you have to worry about the sky attack coming in from the Pharah now.
Yeah, Pip does come out of the Echo, so, you know, there is a little bit of a counter for that. But right now, I mean, Heekin is just pouring rockets into that front line. Racer's made a swap off of the Reinhardt, so no more Reinhardt, sad face for me. Aruda does have the orbital clock as they approach on at this point, and it's going to be an overrun into the back looking for supports. Pip's able to melt down Heekin into the sky, and ooh, but Nodi looking to clap back. It's the dash through onto Pip, looking to chase down the Juno, who grabs the Mega Pack and manages to speed away. Meanwhile, back on the point, Ginger Rifle is just taking a truckload of damage. Overclock thrown in as well.
Yeah, Aruda set a lot of those kills up with the overclock, threw down a lot of damage, and it allowed the likes of Pip and Racer to finish off those kills. So it was a great opening gambit. For the side of Cumberland, though, they did a smart job, and they just held on to a lot of those key ultimates. They haven't used a single one yet, so they got all those check marks ready in this next fight. So it really relies heavily on Finlay having this rally ready.
Who's going to go first? There's a quick move in here from Cumberland with the blade and the cage. Everybody's trying to jump up top. Heekin throws in the barrage. He's able to get one, but Pip brings him down. It's a 2v3 favoring Arcadia on this point. Racer still standing tall on the objective, and Bar of Soap resets.
And we see Cumberland making swaps as well, as we see Nodi going over to the Reaper, Hekenda going back over to the Echo. So they're back on what they were originally now that Arcadia has basically matched them in this meta, essentially. And Arcadia was able to win that fight without having to commit their rally, so they still have that useful tool for this fight.
Oh, and 3 ults were thrown in by Cumberland during that previous one. It's going to be a support ult to start this off from Leon Master. Headed towards the high ground, but Heekin's already down. I don't know who can fight up there. Everybody from Cumberland just kind of groups up on point for a moment. They do manage to burn down Racer, so that should be enough to actually flip this, but Arcadia will be able to stall to at least 99. Now, this is assuming Aruda doesn't just turn around and pop off and kill everybody. 1 kill already from the high ground, but Ginger Rifle right in their face, and Aruda's out of there.
Yeah, smartly done. I mean, you kind of wish you didn't have to throw your rally into that fight, but for this next one, you're going to have Cage and Overclock. Hopefully, if you combine these two properly, you should be able to out-damage this rally that Bar of Soap is going to have. So that's what Arcadia is looking at.
Pip over the top, looking for an opening pick, just to make it all that much easier for Arcadia to win the final fight they need to take this opening sub-map. Oh, Pip gets absolutely melted, trying to just cross hostile territory. The cage fight from Racer is in. Bar of Soap does drop through that rally, but so does Racer. It's a back and forth where Aruda is tilting the scales with this Sojourn. Has already picked up 2.
As they just look to get out of there. I think smart decision. I thought they kind of had the numbers to keep going, but they let the point flip. They re-engage, and a flank from Hekendo gets Aruda.
A huge volley of stickies, but Pip is there for the revenge. Both teams missing a DPS as Finlay's going back on and Lucio just to get back into this fight. The Death Blossom falls on deaf ears. The speed ring beautifully placed, but Racer has to come back in and touch. Runs right into hostile territory to do it. Another kill there from Nodi. 2-piece into the face of Pip. This point flips over at 99-99. Here comes Finlay in with the touch. Orbital invested from Saving Joe as well, but I don't see anything but blue jerseys left.
What a great opening from both of these teams. We've seen nice adjustments in both situations, as we are going to get a pause coming in from what I saw in the chat. But I mean, that was just beautiful. We start out on the Reinhardt, which just was a great opening situation where they kind of threw Cumberland off for a second. Aruda got a big opening pick and the big boop on the high ground from Finlay, and we see these adjustments. I've actually kind of liked Aruda. So with the Sojourn, if you're going to play that, it relies heavily on you finding the picks, and it's been working very well. I mean, they're getting the value out of it, and they haven't, needed a reason to swap off of it.
I also think that you can put a lot of poke damage onto the Malgas as they're coming in, which can be a huge way of winning that fight. If your Malga goes to make their aggressive move, you drop your speed ring, you throw your overrun in, we're going all in, but your Malga just eats a face full of railgun on the way in, they have no sustain. It doesn't matter if they can pop the cardiac at that point. It's very difficult to survive if if you take 500 damage on the approach, and that's something that Sojourn, can do from basically any point on the map. Doesn't have to be, up and personal like an Echo or a Reaper does.
Yeah, I know we talked about kind of how that Nodi Death Blossom didn't exactly find what it was hoping, but at the same time, it got a lot of damage down onto the side of the Mauga for Arcadia, and they popped the cardiac, but it was kind of too late at that point, and they fell. If they could have survived a little bit longer, if they didn't get hit by that Death Blossom, that Orbital Ray was coming in, so it could have been a completely different map. So
I think that was also down to a pathing decision from Racer and Arcadia, though, because they chose to turn around and run right back into the Death Blossom. Like, you had a beautiful disengage, and you could have just kept looping around counterclockwise and keep the speed going and come back around on the backside. Arcadia make the decision to turn around and go right back face first into Nodi, and that ends up being Racer's downfall on that one. So, it's a little bit column A, column B on that one.
I think you could also say it might just be a communication problem there. Like, maybe Racer's like, I got to go touch, but he definitely had touch from some of those supports, and I think they had one DPS left as well. So they cleaned that up, man. That could have been a different story. So we now come in to downtown, and Arcadia, they're just going to match what Cumberland has been playing. They're going to have Aruda go to the Reaper this time around, have Pit play the Echo.
Yeah, no Sojourn here.
And Finlay.
Again with a huge opening pick. That's all you need. This Mongol comp is so dependent on being 5 strong. One opening pick like that will immediately get you first cap.
And to open it with boops both times is just poetic at this point, and just pop off Finlay as we see Gingerfall now rushing in.
Ooh, does deny the cap. So able to get in there just in the nick of time. Taking a decent amount of damage, but backs out, holds the line for now. He can just pop it out of the air by the Juno. We're going to get the overrun used just as a disengage. So the cap does eventually come through here for Arcadia, and they're going to find Ginger Rifle on the exit.
Again, we talked about how we felt like Cumberland were going to be slight favorites, maybe even more than slight favorites coming into this. But, yes, Arcadia is down a map right now, but they're giving absolutely everything to Cumberland at this point. And I think we're going to be in for quite a series as Arcadia, man, they're just synced up, man. Aruda and Pip are doing a great job of working with Racer.
100% locked in at the moment. Aruda close to this Death Blossom Pip with the duplicate not far behind. Cumberland are lacking in everything except for the Orbital Ray. And it could be an important one. As Sammy Joe goes down, the cage, at least made it out, but Racer did not last long enough to use it. The duplicate Death Blossom thrown in from Pip, a last-ditch effort, gets not enough.
Feels like you probably wanted to hold on. I get the cage, but maybe you wanted to hold on to that duplicate there. The one thing you can say is you're not going to have to deal with that Orbital Ray for the side of Cumberland anymore, so you're going to have that advantage, and that might just be enough for Arcadia to win the fight. But big mistake throwing in 2 ults to that fight where Orbital Ray had already been used and you were down 1.
Problem is Cumberland come in and win just like a Death Blossom cage fight, and Saving Joe doesn't get a chance to use it. Suddenly Cumberland start building their ults back up. It's actually going to be a duplicate onto a brig just to stay alive. Cage fight is thrown in from Ginger Rifle here. It's a Death Blossom from Aruda that forces everybody away. The Orbital in is thrown in from saving Joe. They are able to get that one invested, and it emboldens Arcadia to move in, and for Pip to find 2-3 kills on the back of it. Arcadia University are going to drive Cumberland away.
Yeah, not only did that Death Blossom force the positioning, but it also got a decent amount of damage down before they got away. So very well played by Aruda. And the almost like the cherry on top of the ice cream is Finlay still has the rally. Finlay is playing out of their mind. Like, I'd be saying Finlay has been the best player for Arcadia so far.
I wish I saw why Nodi didn't get their Death Blossom in, but Finlay holding a rally would certainly keep it at bay. An eye on that interaction headed into this next engagement. 75% on the board here for Arcadia, and already 2 kills to start it off with. Nodi's not going to get a chance to hit Q.
That they are not, and with 80% left on the clock, Cumberland's only going to have one more opportunity to try and flip this point, or we are going to a map number 3. As we mentioned, Nodi's still going to have that Death Blossom, but I mean, you combine a cage with an early rally to get that overhealth going, and it can just nullify a lot of what Nodi can get done.
Arcadia have been in lights out with their old generation and their early picks. They do it again. Pip and Aruda are so lethal at the start of these fights. Cumberland can barely even make it to the point to execute anything. Nodi will never even get a chance to use that Death Blossom here in City Center. Arcadius are, in fact, going to force us onto University.
It's almost like they aren't expecting Aruda and Pip to play with such aggression, because even some of those times where they're getting those early picks, Racer's not always there. A lot of the time, yeah, they're taking these fights early and Racer is there, but sometimes they'll just go on these crazy flanks and get picks early, and it's like Cumberland isn't expecting it. And now we're going to a map number 3 where Cumberland's not used to being in these situations where they find themselves down to top 10 teams. So this is pressure is mounting for Cumberland.
And if Arcadia are able to continue building ults like that, they're going to be in the driver's seat for this series. They're going to keep putting Cumberland in a difficult position. Cumberland struggling to find ways to go first with aggressive as the 2 DPS, Pip, and oh my goodness, the Sojourn's name just jumped out of my head. Aruda, thank you. I want to say arugula, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. That's not right. They've been lights out, and they've been so good on their ult generation. They kept Cumberland on the back foot for that entirety of City Center.
I kid you not, for the Echoes, Pip. So Pip, I saw him use a duplicate, and then it felt like I blinked in my eye, and the next fight he had it again. I'm just like, oh my goodness, that was so absolutely fast. I'm like, if you could just keep having ults like that every single fight, it doesn't matter how many you throw into the previous fights. You're just generating them so quickly, it doesn't matter.
And this is such an ult-heavy meta. I mean, when Racer comes up with 2 cage fights through the course of that sub-map, and you only get 1 out of Ginger Rifle. I mean, just that in and of itself is such a huge difference maker on who's going to come out with more team fight wins.
Could not agree with you more, as this matchup is already looking extremely spicy as the pause is coming to a close. Map comes down to University, as this is what we live for when it comes to these Overwatch maps. It all comes down to probably the most brawl-centric map of Oasis, that is University.
Oh yeah, that's certainly the most close quarters. There's no real high. I mean, you do have the coastal high ground, but it's not quite. It's not quite as inaccessible as either City Center or Garden.
We don't really see any swaps from either team, considering how close it's been. No surprises here.
Another
boom!
A
lot of damage on Racer.
Bar Soap does it this time. This is 5. Finley got 2 boom kills to start off the first 2 sub maps. Bar Soap wanted some fun.
Bar Soap said, "Hey, you keep getting all these boops. I want one too."
On the Racer of all players, like that's just insta fight win.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, at the same time, Racer took so much opening damage. They get the contest.
These comps are so fast. They get back. A fight win did not even guarantee you first cap. That's ridiculous. Leo Master is going to go down early here. Give me a fight inside the hallway where Arcadia have a +1, and Barsoap just got absolutely smashed.
It's so funny, you know, how fast these comps are. Sometimes I don't realize just how devastating a good slam can be. You just go in there and you can just obliterate a Brig in a second. Like, oh, that was beautiful by Racer.
And I think it is easy to underestimate the power of that overrun in the slam portion of the overrun. You can get crits with it, don't forget, friends. You can get an actual critical. Yeah. And then it's enormous. Not to mention the stuns and displacement on top of it. And I think it's the one real place of skill expression from the Mog, is the one place they can really kind of show off their stuff outside of just pure ult generation. And Ginger Rayfield leading in that regard right now, but Arcadia with 30-15 on the point. Both teams kind of slowing their roll. Arcadia have a lot of ults here to go online with fast. Ooh, the duplicate's already taken out. Now we're going to get He can come in with another duplicate. That one's not going to last. Rally thrown in here from Cumberland to try to push back onto this point. Death Blossom right in the middle of everybody. Nody found the opening and a 3K to boot.
Oh, big mistake coming out there from Aruda. I think he saw that Death Blossom play coming in from Nody and thought he could save the day. But as soon as Nody got it out first, you should not have used it. That was going to, you know, just wrap that up completely. You weren't going to be able to out damage, especially with you already losing some of your players. You're in a situation now where you do have the orbital ray advantage, though. So I mean, Arcadia alone should win the next fight with that.
Yeah, double support ult advantage, as a matter of fact. Finlay should get this rally up online. Oh, Saving Joe got so low. Saving Joe's down. You will not see an orbital in this fight, but Ginger Rifle does get caught inside the cage. So Arcadia aren't done with this one. It's getting scrappy, but Aruda's able to shut the door here, and Arcadia get the flip.
Arcadia said, listen, we don't need no stinking orbital ray. We just win this with cage fight. And they did exactly that. So then the next fight's that much more advantageous for them to be able to win it with just cage fight. That's crazy.
See if Cumberland wants to kind of slow their approach on this one. Yeah, you can see a rotation to high ground. Definitely indicative of that. They're not going right up the gut on this approach. Try to see if they can get up towards more of these ultimates combined with this cage. It's gonna be a drop in from Ginger Rifle. You've caught Aruda with the cage, but here comes the stomp and everybody on top of it. The orbital thrown in. You were getting no damage through that. And Arcadia just find themselves cleaning up here. A flawless fight for them, and 85 on the board.
That one final opportunity for Cumberland to keep their hopes alive on this map. And they do have the orbital ray to work with. So we talked about how important that ultimate is, but we see a duplicate onto the Juno.
That's an interesting choice. Maybe try to combat what Leon is bringing to the table right now. The orbital goes right on top of Arcadia. No, Aruda just Death Blossoms in the middle of all of it. Arcadia looking to upset right out of the gate. And the team we were calling the underdogs will take a 1-0 lead in your grand finals.
Very impressive opening map for the side of Arcadia. They are firing on all cylinders, and their aggressive play, they all just seem to be on the same mindset about it. Like, look, Aruda and Pip, they are going to set us up for these aggressive, quick picks, and they are just following it up beautifully. And Finlay, oh, Finlay, baby. Those boop kills and those rallies have just been online so often.
I thought Arcadia was in trouble when they lost Saving Joe early in that fight. They're able to swing it back. And, then just set up for success in that final fight. Like you said, they still had that orbital way to work with. And they're able to just kind of ride a wonderful ult rotation, just as we was anticipating. Arcadia University were putting out, enormous amounts of damage, building enormous amounts of charge, and setting them in the driver's seat throughout the entirety of this map one.
And now this is where the strategy and the questions start to come into play. That first map went 99-99. Second maps after that, when Arcadia matched them in the Reaper Echo, it was more like 99-50, 99-50 on both of those maps. So, Arcadia didn't blow them out of the water, but it definitely wasn't as close as the first map. So, do you look to still take us to maps where we're going to be playing the Mauga, or does some of that strategy we talked about, like maybe we can beat them better on dive compositions and we take us to maps like those going forward? Because this is where the first major decision happens on map 2.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Is we will get Cumberland to get to choose between Hybrid and Escort here, and then we will get the ban coming through from Arcadia. So we know so far it's going to be a Hybrid map. That's all we know as of yet. I'm very curious myself because this does tell us a lot. This will tell us whether Cumberland wants to try to stick in this Amalgam mirror and think that, you know, hey, maybe we just didn't play our best in map 1. We're just kind of, you know, getting warmed up a little bit, but we got this. Or are they going to be trying to look for something different throughout the rest of this series?
Yeah, that's the big question is, do they still have confidence in the mirror here and just be, okay, we change this here, change that there, and should start to dominate? Or they're at that point, they're just like, all right, we get the picture. We're probably not going to win as much as we thought we would on this Amalgam mirror. Let's take it to maps where it isn't successful. The one thing I did bring up in that cast I did the other day where it's like, the problem is there just aren't a lot of maps in totality where you can force dive. There's just much more of the other maps that are more favorable toward this. But I say that we have the map pick in and throw that all out the window because we are going to one of the more brawl heavy hybrid maps. It is King's Row.
Yes, indeed. It was Numbani banned out here from Arcadia. So it's Arcadia who is making sure that we don't go to the most high ground oriented map in the hybrid pool. But I mean, Cumberland University said, no, we're sticking right in with this brawl thing.
Yeah, because that was the other thing. Yes, you banned Numbani, but as I mentioned, Blizzard World is still on the table. So the option to go to a dive map was still there, and Arcadia was like,
sure,
no. We feel good. Let's keep this Malga up. We just need to make some changes here or there, but we feel we're the better team. We've proven it in a lot of different matchups, and we're going to prove it. We just got to adjust.
Big shout out, G Fuel. Be sure and type in !G Fuel in chat for details on our giveaway. You can win yourself a tub of G Fuel. Appreciate the support. Here's Collegiate Overwatch. We've got a 1-0 lead for Arcadia here. And your grand finals for the fall 24 semester. Arcadia going to be kicking us off on the attack. So, you know what? Let's focus in on this defense. Not seeing really anything unexpected here, Ray.
No, Cumberland is sticking to their guns. We will keep in mind, because it's a grand finals, it is a 1st to 4. So there's going to be plenty of time for adjustments for both of these teams as the series goes on. And the side of Arcadia, we did see them for a second highlight as Junker Queen. And the only reason I bring it up is because you mentioned how they used to like to play it a lot, especially back when Orisa was big. So wouldn't, be the most shocking thing in the world if we do see them roll out on that. And this is an alternative composition I have seen played if you're not feeling the Malga on certain maps.
It's very fast. Sometimes we'll see the Juno subbed in for the Curie. So the Lucio Curie is very dive heavy backline. High mobility, looking to play on the flanks and looking to get aggressive with your supports. The supports are going to get in the mix here alongside Racer. And you can see Finlay kind of leading the charge, shout out, and it's all the way through the archway. We try to axe down the brig. Leon's down, Bar Soap is down, and this aggressive play will work out. You do trade out Racer, though. That could be a crux of this attack.
I do think it's okay, all things considered, because you are down both of your supports. They just spawned in right now. Racer will be back just as fast as those supports.
We're going to get the recontest. Not in time. Uh-oh. Disastrous turn as Heeket's going to go down. Finlay's already moved into the back, and Nodi's fallen as well. They sacrifice the ability to hold up close because Ginger Rifle is a split second late on getting that touch. Now they've given up the arch.
Big mistake as we see now Arcadia, they literally just use that as an opening fast play to get the point. Now they're swapping over to the Malga. They're just abandoning all the ult charges. I mean, they will keep Aruda on the Trace, on the Genji, but that's very, it's acceptable for the Malga composition. Like, it's an alternative.
I don't know how crazy I am about that. I love the confidence that shows out of Arcadia because Rampage is so good into this comp. But here comes the Cumberland trying to see if they can fight back for this lost ground that they've given up so early in this map. Early damage onto Pip and Racer has slowed Arcadia's push a bit. And try to turn the corner. It's actually a speed ring up here from Cumberland, and they're going to move in. Nodi's picking up that kill onto Finlay. We saw Bar of Soap getting all the way in, back on Pip. Death Blossom on the point. Close this out, and Racer's not getting out of there.
Yeah, the deflect was actually coming through big time onto that Death Blossom, but the torpedo from Leon Master was able to get the kill onto, as we now see another wrinkle into this, as we see Aruda for the side of Arcadia is now going to pull out the Mei, which is another adaptation I've seen out of this Mauga. It relies heavily on isolating Ginger Rifle in this situation, but the enemy Mauga in general.
One stomp in calls for another duplicate onto the Mauga. Ginger Rifle's just going to use that orbital ray and mow through both of the Maugas standing before. That was a 4 Mauga fight, by the way. There was like 8 Gatling guns on the battlefield there for a moment.
Both teams, Cumberland specifically, threw in both their support ultimates into that fight, however. So Arcadia will have that advantage for the next fight. And now they have a little bit better stranglehold on the ult economy now that they've swapped comps.
That duel was on a knife's edge there. And look how far Arcadia have gotten behind this defense. Cumberland are looking in a very awkward spot. Ginger Rifle looking for a place to try to use this cage fight. Whoa, and Leo Master can't regroup with the rest of the team. Barso gets absolutely hornswoggled inside. Both supports flanked by Pip's Echo.
Pip is legitimately just standing behind them, just pew, 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 and they just have no idea. What a flank, as we're going to get the replay on that. Just look at this. I mean, obviously, Leon knew they were there, but look at this. No idea. Barso's like, oh, crap, I'm dead.
That was, I mean, you had Finlay pressing in from the front, so, I mean, it's not like Barstow didn't have their hands full already. Overrun from our Racer, and it's going to be both cage fights thrown into the mix here right out of the gate. Blizzard over the top from Aruda, and it looks like that wrinkle you were talking about comes up big late here on the back of point B in the most important fight of the map. Picked up one and done from Arcadia.
Yeah, we talk about the Death Blossom cage combo, but let's talk about the Blizzard cage combo. I mean, not as much damage, but just as potent because you stop the other team from being able to do anything so that you can just kill them. Like, it's pretty deadly.
Yeah, you can't sustain and take benefit from that cardiac. You can't shoot. Pip with another opening pick onto Heekend. Oh, Pip is just on fire today. Nodi trying to regroup with the rest of the team, but Pip's already duplicated the Mauga, 20% ahead of Heekend. That big ult difference coming in, but Racer is mowed down. Nodi able to plant their heels in back here. Still, it is a close back and forth, and Arcadia are continuing to pick up ground.
That was like 5 health for the side of Ginger Rifle. You're going to get the contest just in time to get Finlay.
Yeah, Heekend, I think, got fed up, had enough, comes back and gets a pair, and Arcadia have to beat feet.
You do basically nullify any value out of that duplicate for the side of Cumberland, so you'll take that if you're the side of Arcadia. And we're going to see a lot of ults in this next fight. Aruda already has a Blizzard. Like, they just used it on that final fight of point B. Already has one again. Kind of crazy.
Support ults. With it. Keep an eye on how Aruda wants to approach this. You don't have the cage fight to combo with it this time. When we talk about how fast this Mauga comp is, it's actually going to be Cumberland going first here. They're going to throw in the orbital, quick disengage out of Arcadia. They're just going to wait this one out.
Yeah, I think that's the smart decision. Like, don't even bother matching orbital ray for orbital ray. Let them waste theirs and then re-engage with it.
Uh-oh, they're dropping to the backline. It's completely stunned out. Finlay was all over that. Death Blossom got one and die out. Maybe now here comes the aggression on the other side. I was talking about how you're going to use this Blizzard right into the corner. There's the wall to prevent the retreat from Ginger Rifle. Rally thrown in here from Cumberland to try to hold the line. They're able to find Finlay, but they've dropped Heekend and a bulk of the damage with it. Pip with a duplicate onto the Mauga in the corner, and a cage fight thrown in from Racer to try to secure this point with over 2 minutes to go. Ginger Rifle will hold the line, but there's no supports left standing here for Cumberland. Ginger Rifle gets Save and Show, tries to return the favor, cut out the knees from underneath this attack. Heekend is back to try to hold it, gets Pip. Finlay finds Nodi, who's moved on to a Bastion. It's Aruda versus Heekend. Finlay comes in, tilts the bells on the Lucio with a 2-piece. Barsoap is here on the rally, trying to just spin in all directions to hold, gets Aruda to 1, but can't get the kill. Still, we have Cumberland Phoenix throwing members at this point. Will it be enough to get the stop? I mean, they've whittled 30 seconds off the clock. Here comes the overrun in from Ginger Rifle. They lasted all of half a second on this point. Now we've got Nodi back on a venture. They don't last long. Arcadia succeed in the focus fire experiment here and cap with a $1:30 in the clock.
I actually think Finlay coming back on the Lucio was pretty big because
they clutch.
Yeah, they helped chase down the Tracer and got the second kill to boot. And, I mean, basically just provided quick, sustainable heals because you just keep the heals going. You have the ability to go after some of those flankers and you get back quicker. So I think that was a really last minute, like, good idea to be able to do there in order to secure that. And they made sure they got over a minute on the clock, which is one of those big landmarks for this defense that they'll be occurring next. So as long as they can draw Cumberland into overtime, they're the only ones who get to attack a second time.
An impeccable attack. I mean, it's down to the wire. I wasn't sure they were going to get it. Once Cumberland started getting a couple picks, we see Ginger Rifle comes in with a kick, with a kill. We see Heekin comes in with a kill, and the attacking Arcadia here, are slowly losing reinforcements, which ends up just, usually being a disaster when you're trying just get that extra few meters on the back of King's Row. But Arcadia hold on, huge kills from Pip in the end.
And just think about the momentum and pressure. I mean, momentum mounting for the side of Arcadia and pressure just continuing to increase for Cumberland. Like, man, yes, this is a first to 4, but, if we go down 0-2, this is going to be that much harder to come back from. And then you start questioning, can you win in this Malgam mirror?
And, I mean, again, we're talking about a team of mostly freshmen here. They don't have the competitive experience of, a lot of the teams that we are equating them with, in the top 10 to top 20 of collegiate Overwatch. So it could be very easy for them to, perhaps get flustered or a little frustrated. We'll see how Titanium the Mental is playing from behind on this attack.
You know, to use Wraith Form already forced out as they're trying to apply a bunch of pressure. Racer did lose a lot of health there.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a ground game here. They're playing up high. Ooh, take some shots. As Heekin is on a hit scan here. You don't see this very often, but it's going to work out in this first approach as they will find that final blow. Drop it in behind, saving Joe as well. So, 2 priority kills to kick things off, and it'll be 1 and done for Cumberland as well. So far, so good. The middle looking strong.
Yeah, opening pick onto Pip was the big thing because Pip's been their player who's been finding opening picks, at least on this map specifically. I think first map, Aruda did a great job. Here, Pip has just been on it as we see them making a swap and going over to the Sojourn, who we saw Aruda playing it very well on Oasis. Now it's Pip's turn to try and show us what kind of Sojourn magic they can make happen.
This takes so much damage out of the frontline war, though. I worry that Racer might be taking the brunt of a lot of force once we get into the full team fight. Now, if Arcadia can get some early damage in or even an early pick, this Sojourn will look brilliant.
Early wall as well, too, if you get a good one.
Give me a Deadeye around the corner. You have the speed ring, get around this wall. Oop, keep going with that extra. You find a skull at the end. Not quite. You do get Pip low. You buy a lot of space on the back of that Deadeye. So you've made it around the bookstore here if you're CU. Pip is trying this flank up on the high ground. So far, honestly, Phoenix don't look too bothered by it. Orbital Ray thrown on the front line. They're going to try to focus on the tank.
Yeah, they didn't look too bothered. Pip goes down now. They did keep the supports distracted for a little bit, but it didn't really matter. Big orbital raid coming in from both teams, and Cumberland's able to clean up pretty quickly. This is the Cumberland squad we've been looking to see.
Well, and Cumberland didn't even have to invest both support ults. A lot of time we're seeing, 2 support ults thrown in to help win these big ult fights because Arcadia doesn't have that frontline pressure. They don't have to invest the rally.
Exactly, and coming into this this important fight to cap this second point, it looks like they're just going to give it up, though, because I was going to say you could drain a lot of time off the clock if you go touch, but that was just great frontline pressure applied from Cumberland, not allowing them to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you lose players here early, it could be disastrous. This is the wall just trying to use defensively, as is the speed ring. Oh, a couple skulls. Racer won't get out. Racer dies trying to cut from one pillar to the other, and Heekin gets that last little bit of damage they needed. This is 5 minutes on the clock and a lot of room for the Phoenix.
So much time, so much space Cumberland is buying themselves. Nodi can just drop down a Death Blossom. It looks like what he's trying to do, but he's been found out by Pip.
Watch for this to get combined with the cage. He's trying to stage up here. Oh, ran out of the high ground. Beautifully done. Absolutely found out, and a blizzard thrown down low. So Arcadia strike back well here in a very desperate moment with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, but that was Cage and Blizzard thrown into that fight. Cumberland gonna have so much for this next fight, and they got the cart so far, Jeff, where it's gonna be one clean fight they gotta win, and then you're looking at like a staggered fight after that of people just trying to desperately touch, as Hikendo is now swapped over to the Pharah as well.
And immediately brought down. Pip just goes up to the high ground, and one nice deflect, boom. Deflect right back in Heekin's face.
As we just saw, the sword is mightier than the rocket in that case. Yeah, so Cumberland still could just take their time. They have so much to work with and so much time as well.
I mean, there's no reason. I mean, they just gotta move in and drop ults. Cage Fight's gonna pick up a Racer, and we're gonna get the orbital ray to try to keep Racer alive. Now the Death Blossom thrown in towards the back of the fight, kind of waiting for everybody to bunch in. Love the patience out of that one. And Cumberland now are in a great spot to finish with an enormous time bank. A little bit of a duel through the sky. The torpedoes land.
Oh, no.
Pip will not get out. There's no escape for that Genji. Racer's taking so much damage on the approach. There's the cardiac has to be used just to get to the point. Won't even get much of a touch. 2 directs onto Finlay. And this is going to be a cap with 3+ in the bank.
Oh, Jeff, those were 2 untimely deaths for the side of Arcadia. Pip, who had the blade online, and Saving Joe was coming out with the orbital ray, also gets picked off just as he was getting it. Oh, very unfortunate. I still think Cumberland likely would have won that, but maybe you would have drawn out more time. Maybe you could have. You never know. Very unfortunate for those deaths coming when they did.
It's where that ult generation comes up. So, you might think, oh, well, I mean, if you're only 10% behind, most of the time you get that in the next fight anyway. Like, that's one of those moments where you have the advantage in that and you're able to keep rolling with it. And Arcadia find themselves just a little bit behind the 8 ball there, on the back half, starting kind of at the back half of the B defense, and never really got it back.
Now, the real question for Cumberland on this defense, Jeff, is they know Arcadia, who's highlighting this Junker Queen composition once again, like, the gambit has already been done. Like, you're aware of it. So are you expecting it again if you're Cumberland? Are you ready for it? Because, it looks like they're going to highlight and look to try and do that again. I mean, given the short time bank, I think they're just thinking we need to go fast and try and get this point quickly to save ourselves as much time.
3, 2, 1.
Cumberland are still set up like they're expecting the Mog. With Nutty in the statue and then Ginger Rifle playing the high ground. Okay, but they're keeping nobody. This is one adjustment. Defense doesn't have anybody low ground. We've let Racer run in, kind of scope out the house. Now we're going to get the ambush into the back line. Looking for Pip. Gets the blow, but has to ready form out. Won't secure the kill. Ginger Rifle's going to drop in amidst this kind of deception. And Racer does eventually go down. So Ginger Rifle finds that pick. Now Aruda manages to steal one back. Could it be a difference maker?
It could. I mean, it was the Juno. Juno have the speed green to get back faster. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Oh, that'll make a big difference. Bar of Soap goes down.
Yeah, without the Juno there, you don't have that additional support. Somehow, Bar of Soap drops out of the shield, was broke, or just didn't quite get the angle. Didn't expect the shot to come in, but that is an enormous pick out of Arcadia here in extras.
And the question is, are they going to touch? Last time they made the mistake of not getting there in time. This time they do.
Plenty of time to spare. And not only that, but they don't send Ginger Rifle in alone, but still a huge bio-nade with Finlay on this Ana, completely negating the cardiac overdrive and a sleep on a Nodi. He gets picked up too, though. Racer and finally look to clean this out.
As they get the point, Arcadia has themselves on the Mauga again, and this time they swapped quick enough to where they're going to be coming up on ults to match what Cumberland has for sticking to their gun. So Rita's going to have the blade. We're going to get Kitsune Rush in this fight. And if Arcadia goes quick enough, they might be able to get a lot of distance on the second point, which they're going to need it considering 3 minutes for Cumberland.
Yeah, we are in overtime spawns, so each fight carries that much more weight behind it. Ruda with a dash to the high ground, successfully manages to get Nodi down. We have a Death Blossom into the Kitsune Rush on the back line. You've already dropped 2 to Leon Master. The Death Blossom will put in enough damage to stop this cart, though, and that is going to be as far as Arcadia will get.
Those opening picks with the torpedoes from Leon Master, I mean, that sealed the deal. I mean, the Death Blossom, didn't... It would have gotten what it needed to, but the damage had already been done. So... very well played from the side of Cumberland. I think, they're in a really good spot to tie up this series. They only got to get the point in just like a little bit, and they have plenty of time on the clock. Both these teams were able to cap points on all of the attacks so far relatively quick. So definitely favored Cumberland coming into this attack to tie up the series.
I mean, Arcadia need to do something that nobody's been able to do so far, and that's defend point A.
Yep.
All 3 attacks have been one and dones. I guess it took 2 for Arcadia in that last one. They had to get the opening pick and then kind of come back and follow up on it with the pick from the Curie. Maybe a 1.5 fights.
As we see, Arcadia just kind of going back to what actually did them really well back on Oasis. Just the classic Mauga with the Echo and the Reaper, which they haven't actually played this combination on King's Row yet. So who knows what happens on this defense now that they're back on this, because those last 2 maps of Oasis much more favored Arcadia when they were mirroring this.
We saw Ginger Raphael dying a lot. Looking for an opening pick. Pip is able to just nope out of there. But this is going to be much more even here in the front line war. So keep an eye. Ooh! Master gets the final blow. And Heekin's opening shot might have just been the most important one of the map. It's going to be a big brawl on the stairwell. Stomp lands right on to Finlay. And Heekin finds another one on the Widowmaker. Swings wide to get the headshot on the Saving Joe. And this is going to be another one and done.
You do have the ability with how fast these comps are to probably touch again maybe before I don't know. It's close. Oh, this is tough decision.
They have Pip positioned up there. Yeah, no, they're not sending it. They had Pip positioned if they wanted to and decided against it. He can
probably
now
a smart decision in the long run. Just hold defensively here at the archways and make sure you get a good defense here.
A 100% a good decision. Ooh, Pip almost gets found out again in another aggressive spot. Now looping back up here with the center of the team, where Cumberland are starting to come up on ults, most notably Nodi ahead with that Death Blossom. What a shot! This Finlay gets popped! It's going to be the grapple on the outside. Was looking for the Judo in the back. Runs right past the Mal. Going to go hunt down the Judo into the bookstore to dodge. But Aruna and Eraser have traded. This is a 3v3 on this point. Aruna's going to double down, and Saving Joe wins that duel.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the late picks are going to help Arcadia a lot. I was worried about them losing people in this fight and the spawn difference for them. I think getting those late picks helps a lot. It buys them that much more time.
Enough to get everybody back. Ooh! Oh, the shield comes up just in time to block that shot. Now an orbital ray and the focus on the front line, where he cannot provide the assistance that an Echo Reaper can.
Huge plays as well, because you got 4 ults out of Cumberland. You're able to keep your duplicate, and you know, you basically are going to get close to this rally too. I mean, Bar Soap does have the advantage and will be able to use that early, but if you dupe the right target, you know, maybe you dupe another Mauga, throw a lot more damage on there and try and outlast this rally.
He goes over to the gas, sticking with the hit scan here. Ginger Redfield has to survive through this approach. Gonna be a duplicate on the Marga coming out. Rally is in here from Bar Soap. Finlay is able to get theirs up and into the fight, but Racer drops. It's not quite in time. Leon Master, though. Pip comes over the top and burns down the second support here from Cumberland. Ginger Rifle is able to return the favor. Heekin and Nodi will get it done, and Cumberland tie up your grand finals.
Whew, there we go, folks. We have ourselves an Overwatch series. 1-1 in your grand finals. What more could you ask for after 2 maps, as Arcadia is looking to try and upset the heavy favorites of Cumberland. Map 1, you know, they looked very good, but this was the Cumberland squad that we had been waiting to see a little bit, and we saw it there. They absolutely did a great job.
I mean, this whole map was basically all attack, no defense. I mean, that's kind of... Honestly, that's pretty indicative of this meta, though. You know, this meta is so fast and so aggressive.
It's like watching like a football game where the final score is like 51-54 or something like that. It's just like no defense to be had there. Just high-powered octane attacks from both of these squads, and it's been nice. I like seeing these little wrinkles that the teams throwing in, seeing the Mei, seeing the Thera, seeing the Widowmaker. This has been a treat.
All right, we're headed to map 3. It'll be Arcadia's pick when we return. So far, we are knotted up here, and our D2 Grand Finals has, well, turned into be quite the banger. After two, at the very least, with Kings Row going into extra innings, but Cumberland Phoenix able to hang on, bring it back on that map, forcing us to push where Arcadia will get the pick.
Yeah, we have the map pick in Esperanza was banned from the side of Cumberland, and they have picked Runasapi, which is no surprise here. I think, you know, I am in agreement with, I think, everyone where Runasapi is the best push map now. Like, it's just so well designed, and I think it's great for this Malga we've been seeing. I think all the push maps would have been fine for it as well, but listen, it's the new map. I just want to see it more, okay?
we've definitely been seeing a lot of it, and there's, you know, there's not really any high ground here. It's definitely a ground and pound map. Either, I mean, the Junker Queen could also be viable here, which we saw have a little bit of success on point A there for Arcadia. Seen a lot of Junker Queen on Windows. I don't know that we'll see it here, but it's definitely, I mean, it's at least viable.
It's going to be the big question as we are knotted up at 1-all. Has Cumberland found their groove, and do they continue to roll after this, or does Arcadia find a counter punch to try and come back and pull off this upset that they're already off to a pretty good start so far? The question is just going to be continuing their, I think, you know, on that first map, I felt like on Oasis, Pip and Aruda were doing a great job of playing aggressively and getting good flanks. Pip was getting caught out a lot on King's Raw on this flank. It's almost like Cumberland is now watching out for it, and they've adjusted for it.
Agreed, particularly on the Echo. I will say, though, as far as if that's a weakness for Arcadia, I think Heakin's tendency to really want to go into this hit scan could be a weakness for Cumberland. Where, you know, you were talking about how Arcadia looks stronger in the straight amalgam mirror. If Arcadia do stick with the Reaper and the Echo, and Pip manages to not get picked off early in these fights, I mean, I think they might actually have the advantage in this head-to-head.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I said, it's going to be about just finding a good balance between finding good flanks and not getting caught out and found, and then also playing with your Malga and making sure that Racer is able to stay alive in these fights. Because I do think in a lot of these, when they go on these flanks, we do see Racer taking way more damage than Ginger Rifle in these early on battles.
It also felt like, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we saw Pip getting a lot of success on Oasis, as you mentioned, but that was when they were moving in conjunction with Aruda, when they were kind of setting up, you know, 2v3 plays, and it wasn't just Pip by themselves.
Oh, I 100% agree with that, because they get a lot of that damage onto Ginger Rifle, or they get a pick, either or. So basically it counteracts each other, and then they're able to get the picks, and it works out pretty well that way. So as long as it's well timed and they are all on the same page, again, big advantage to the side of Arcadia, as we do see full mirrors from both of these teams. And as we mentioned, if things go well, I think Arcadia has the advantage in this mirror.
Yeah, he can't afford to pull off the hit skin here. You just leave Ginger Rifle too vulnerable to the front load of damage. Not to mention the sustain of the duplicate throughout this fight and getting an extra cardiac overdrive, or I've even seen some, you know, extra rallies or extra death blossoms into it. Pip, once again, playing on this outside. Doesn't get caught out this time, though, and is able to kind of combine with the Aruda, get some early damage in. Nodi ends up being first to fall. Ginger Rifle will just die right on the Mega, and a good start for Arcadia.
Yeah, I mean, winning that Reaper battle for Aruda against Nodi, who Nodi's been playing admirably well on this Reaper, and Aruda comes in and absolutely, I mean, just look at that ult difference, 28% to 64 for Aruda. Like, that's going to be a massive advantage for Arcadia getting that early Death Blossom.
Some early meterage picked up here. Oops. These combos are so fast, they can't even go down to the end of the street here, where they have to just hold kind of in mid. Because, yeah, there's Cumberland right back in, right on top of you. Trying to see if they can force Arcadia out of the only bit of cover you kind of have here in the middle. Cumberland trying to turn the corner, but Eraser goes right back in. It's going to be a little bit of appeal there from Cumberland University to hold this. They drop the speed ringing, but they're not able to do much with it. It does have a duplicate ready to go, so you can go ahead and throw that in onto the Reaper here right at the very beginning of the fight. Try to drop the Reaper in from the other side as he falls from the sky. All guns pointed at the tanks in this fight. Oh, duplicate Death Blossom come out there from Heakin as well. Try to return the favor. That one's not going to find anything. As Cumberland come out on top.
They do get Bar Soap as an exiting pick there. So, you know, if they don't send Leon Master to go get them, they can't afford, I mean, they'll be able to take the lead, but once, you know, because of how fast we'll see Arcadia coming back, they're going to have to back up immediately because they do not have their Brig with them.
I'm just going to go ahead and push forward. What? How does that happen? What? Excuse me. No reason Heakin should be going down that early. We're talking about Pip falling early in fights. That's the kind of opening pick that'll just swing this right back the other direction.
As we see now, you know, momentum shifts back to Arcadia's favor, and Orbital Ray's out.
Heakin's not even quite back yet. We are going to get a disengage here from Arcadia. They're not looking to match. They're just going to hold on. Ooh, that could have been a detrimental move. Saving Joe had gone down, but Saving Joe does respond, and Cumberland's now it's their turn to back away as Arcadia Who comes in with a cage fight? Death Blossom in the middle of it from Nodi, though. Anybody who dared stepped in, you were trapped in with the big old wombo combo. The dance studio, as I like to call it. The stage is set. The disco dancer is in.
Expensive fight for Cumberland. No, that was 4 ult fight. As Arcadia can just come back with their duplicate, their cage, and their rally and win this quickly. And like we mentioned, these comps are fast. They're not going to gain much meterage off that huge ult dump.
Not even gonna get around this corner, much less to get this checkpoint, and that would have been ideal. Yeah, Shadow step into the back, looking for he can on that Echo. And just ends up ducking away towards high ground, but still has kind of an entrance into the back line where Pip is going to come converge. They've lost Racer in this, and they're going to try to trade out on the supports, but great peel out of Cumberland, and the boom means the Echo has no flight, will end up being taken down because they are in that duplicate form. Rally still pop heal from Arcadia, and Finley's going to get taken out of that.
Wow, what a turn of events for the side of Cumberland. Getting that boop onto Pip was everything, because you know, you lose the value of the duplicate where you could have gotten a cage, but then you just don't have that follow-up damage and focusing beam anymore from the Echo even getting taken out of duplicate. So just that just turned everything on its head. You get the checkpoint now, and we know how important getting those checkpoints are for these push maps.
Oh, and Nodi once again is coming up with first blood. Overrun into the back, trying to see if Racer can equalize. Nodi just ducks in around the corner, turns and drives Pip away. While continuing to gain meterage here for Cumberland University, as everybody just found their way onto Racer. So now Racer ends up just isolated and alone, and Cumberland capitalized. Now a drop into the back line to finish off Finlay. And Nodi is just underneath the skin of Arcadia's defense.
Cage was used there. They end up getting Pip in the end, and the meter difference is just continuing to mount and mount for Cumberland. Still plenty of time left on the clock as we've reached the halfway point, but if they don't start getting control of this robot soon, it's going to be quite like an Everest level climb to try and get back in here.
This is probably the most comebackable map in the entire game. Death Blossom into the back line, dropped right into the orbital, doesn't matter. Your orbital's not going to save you through all that, particularly with the Racer coming and stomping in like they did. And a big hold here from Cumberland as they tried to just, from Arcadia. As Cumberland tried to force the issue and got absolutely turned away.
Yeah, Death Blossom and Orbital Ray for Orbital Ray. I'll say that's the best news you could have gotten if you're Arcadians. You don't have to deal with that Orbital Ray once again, but Cumberland still has a lot to work with. I think because of that, I look to get aggressive with this cage as quickly as possible, and hopefully Finlay can get the rally quick.
Rifle moving in very aggressively early, has already used their cardiac overdrive and just kind of standing out in the open. Yeah, Leo Master gets cut down, trying to regroup with the team. Wasn't a lot of cover to work with. Ginger Rifle, without that Juno, does fall shortly thereafter. Even with a duplicate invested in, Cumberland are not going to be able to hold this one. Another good fight win from Arcadia.
Yeah, you do get the late rally from Finlay. I do feel like you wish you could have held on to that, as Nodi's just going to reset. Tactical falling off the edge. I guess, you know, in the end, you know, both rallies were used. I think you just wish you could have kept that for this next fight. But Arcadia getting really, because I think this is the big fight here. They need to get this checkpoint in order to start mounting this comeback properly. Because even if they lose, getting those forward spawns is going to be big.
Especially come out right on the point from both of our teams. Concentric circles with the disco dance in the middle. Nodi does go down. Pip on the outside. Able to just pour in a ton of damage. You saw the Death Blossom left here from Aroda. They're not even going to need it. Get bow supports there at the end, and it's a third fight win in a row here from Arcadia.
As you kind of alluded to and highlighted, that this is probably one of the most comebackable maps in Overwatch right now. You know, lots of ults expended from Cumberland, as Aruda still has this Death Blossom, and Saving Joe is right on the edge of getting this Orbital Ray.
Oh, push it out from the room with the Death Blossom on that one. And Leo Master will eventually fall on the back of it. We did get the orbital thrown in from Arcadia as well, and I'm just going to use those two ults to win yet another. Aruda with a huge fight in that one.
Not going to have anything to work with anymore, as now the ult economy shifts heavily in Cumberland's favor. They'll be getting their duplicate, they'll be getting their rally, and you know, by the time this next fight ends, Kendo goes really low, they will have the orbital ray as well.
Fighting for this corner. Racer finds first place. Leon Master goes down again. You can't be losing your judo that early in the fight. Racer follows it up with a big stomp onto Nodi as well. So 4v3 favoring Arcadia University as they approach the archway. And they're very close, dangerously so, to taking away this lead. Now
that they are, as we see the Kendo dupe onto the Mauga coming online.
You can just drop it right over the top. Does go. Oh, get taken out of that dupe for. We're going to back it away. Looking for some place to hide as Cumberland comes in, trying to see if they can regain a foothold in this map. They might just be getting betting in, though, as the Death Blossom is right in the middle of all of them. Oruda had the big brain play and has 3 kills to show for it.
3 kills, and they got out the orbital ray. Oh, that was a devastating team fight. Had to come in. They do still have 3 key ults to work with. They should get the touch before this lead is officially taken. Arcadia's forced to back out. They were down a player, and they don't have the ults.
It is just a retreat. I mean, a handful of meters shy, where they are. Arcadia are so close to getting this lead back. You've got to overcome a big wombo combo on the other side. It's a quick push. It looks like Arcadia are going to try to go first. See if they can isolate Bar Soap on that right-hand side. Take the rally out early. I mean, cage fight thrown in. Death Blossom comboed with it. Nodi finds the kills on the back of the wombo. A pair of them, as a matter of fact, here for Cumberland University. Orbital Ray up the street where Racer is able to find Heekin. Nodi's running away with the bot. Rally in play here from Cumberland Phoenix, though, and they're still losing players.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Aruda gets Bar of Soap, and I mean, the only thing you could say is you got the bot far away enough to where you can probably get a touch once again before the lead gets taken away from the side of Arcadia.
Risky move from Nodi to find that extra space. It's going to be a final fight for this map, for the lead in this grand finals. Override in from Racer doesn't land. They're taking too much damage. Death Blossom thrown in from Aruda. Everybody vacates. What a disengage out of Cumberland. Pip trying to throw in a duplicate to make it happen. Got one with that copy Deadeye. Now has Ginger Rifle low, but he can drop it into Denver from the other side, and Pip won't last. Heekin's going to get a headshot as well. Cumberland University stopped this cart shy and will take map 3.
Oh, Aruda felt like he just got a little too aggressive with that Death Blossom. Finds absolutely nothing, couldn't get those backline supports. And Cumberland, they kind of just spread out like a bunch of cockroaches when you turn on the light, and it worked out beautifully. Completely negate the Death Blossom. They're able to get the big win and go up 2-1.
I mean, you know, we're looking at that 5-minute mark, and it was like 119 meters to nothing. I mean, it was such a massive lead for Cumberland. And Arcadia come back and put together, what, 4 or 5 fight wins in a row? I mean, just stay entrenched in Cumberland's side of the map for the entire, back 5 minutes. Just can't quite push it over the edge.
So close has this entire series been. Cumberland trying to show us why they are in the top 20 of esports Overwatch League or collegiate teams, and Arcadia trying to prove a lot to a lot of the naysayers. And like, look, we get the cachet that Cumberland comes into this series with, but we aren't slouches either. We're undefeated for a reason as well, and we're going to give all that Cumberland can handle.
Oh, I mean, some big rating planes out of Arcadia. I love the Aruda bait. Where Arcadia, full disengage all the way back over. This is the play right there. And Aruda comes out from inside the house to drop the triple kill there. I mean, really, really smart stuff. They're out of Arcadia on that map. I mean, just to even put up that comeback, to get within the handful of meters that they did. I mean, we're looking at 116, 119 there towards the end. I mean, it was that close, Ray. It was that close.
So close indeed, as we get a little bit of decision making coming in from the side of Arcadia for map number 4. It will be a pick whether we go to Flashpoint or Clash. I don't think it really matters either way. All 4 of these maps are going to be pretty heavily favored toward the ground and pound kind of style of play. Right. There's a little bit of high ground to be had on like a Hanaoka if you went there, and maybe Throne of Anubis, but generally speaking, Mauga is going to be great on all 4 of these maps. The question is, we had a series a couple weeks back where BSC. I don't remember who they were playing, but they basically took the other college to Clash just because it was so unpracticed, and they're like, haha, we won the map because we took the team to the Clash map. Like, they just started laughing about that.
Well, I mean, Cumberland Phoenix have done that exact thing. That is how they took their map off of Blinn College back in the homecoming tournament, was taking them to the funny map of Clash. I don't remember which one it was, to be honest, but they end up coming out with that Clash map, and to, and at least kind of, they don't get 3-0'd against, a top 10 collegiate school. So now, with that said, it means, Cumberland Phoenix are also pretty good at those, the funny Clash maps that maybe haven't been as well scrimmed. And it does mean, I mean, we do end up landing on Flashpoint. We do have our decision in. Is Flashpoint picked there by Arcadia? And, well, wait, no, it's the other way around, right? Is it Flashpoint picked by the winning team, and then the losing team picks the map? Because there's no ban here.
Oh, yeah. That's fair enough. I do think the door is opened for the Junker Queen on this map, on their home turf map, if Arcadia looks to want to do that. I mean, I still just going to expect the full-on Mauga v Mauga, but you never know. Arcadia has loved to throw in these wrinkles, whether it be Reinhardt back on Oasis, Junker Queen back on King's Row. You never know with this team.
I want to see more Reinhardt.
Yeah, with that Mythic coming out next season. Oh.
Mythic skin plus Mythic axe. Just saying. Just saying. I know everybody's complaining about it. I don't care. Reinhardt deserves all the love. I'm just saying. I don't anticipate much change here. The Echo ended up working out pretty well for Heekend. And I don't think we're going to go back into the hit scan. No, they are going to stick with the double flex DPS. Pip is showing us something a little different here, though.
Yeah, going over to the Genji, which, I mean, again, another acceptable DPS in these Mauga compositions. Genji does a great job with the follow-up, especially with the dash resets, trying to confirm kills. Less burst damage than what the Echo provides, however.
Playing off the flank is a lot more survivable if they want to try to play off the flank and try to sandwich. So far, they're kind of playing down main. There's the move into the back line, trying to cut through the supports, just distract the supports. I mean, getting a kill onto one is even better. Fortunately, Racer goes down. It's not quite how you dial that up, but Aruda and Pip should be able to clean up to what's left. Or what remains, whichever I was trying to say.
That's okay, as, yeah, you do lose your tank there, but it doesn't matter because you basically killed everyone else, and you get Leon Master on the way out. Huge stagger that's going to buy a lot of percentage for Arcadia.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Ginger got out, too.
As we see, Pip already going to have a blade online for this next fight. Question is Cumberland going to be ready and expecting this ult in this next fight? 50% already gained for Arcadia.
And Aruda's already found opening, but in fact, both of our Reapers have found both of our Junos. Minimal sustain left throughout this fight. Could be a fast one. Death Blossom thrown in. Trying to make it super fast indeed, as Aruda comes up with another 2-piece.
With how fast these points tick up, players still spawning in for Cumberland. We're already up to 80%. They're going to have to move very quickly to try and get this point. At this point, I'm questioning whether you just, look to move on and, live to fight another day on the next point. But they are moving like they're going to attempt to touch.
That's going to be a low ground approach. They're not going to make it.
Oh!
Nobody does get Finlay down low, and we do get a K-Tride invested. Oh, that was a duplicate invested. Excuse me, is what I was hearing. Racer falling. This is good news for Cumberland as they move to the next point.
It's good news, but I mean, it's also good news for Arcadia because they don't have to deal with the duplicate as we haven't even gotten to the next point or it unlocked yet. Like, it'd be one thing if you won the fight and you get to cap the point early, but we're going to be taking another point fight, and the orbital ray is in the favor of Arcadia right now.
Not by much. Let's see if we can get the match up before Arcadia comes up. The approach here from, just looking to go up main, looking for the trades. Arcadia, you've got the advantage. What are you waiting on? Speed ring is in. There they go, pulling the trigger, throw the cage fight in, but they lost a riddle on the approach. Pip's going to try to bring it back. He's already found 2 here with the Genji Blade. And that is going to be enough. Despite early percentage going to Cumberland, they do in fact get 15. Arcadia will win this fight and get the point.
2 ults committed into that fight. Totally worth it for Arcadia to get a nice point flip, force Cumberland back into the spawns, and you have the double support ults to match Cumberland's double support ult match. So you just got to be very wary of this incoming Death Blossom from Nodi.
Keep an eye on how the Genji plays in. This is already a dash into the back line there from Pip. Ginger Rifle, your supports are distracted. Your supports are dead. And that means the tank is not going to last long either. Beautiful play. We're starting to see the power of the Genji here in this composition.
Yeah, Pip is playing absolutely fantastic. And then you feel a lot better and easier because of the survivability you have on the Genji to go on those flanks and find those sandwiches as you talked about. And then obviously you have the ability to deflect a lot of damage. And it's working out very well for Arcadia so far. Last opportunity on this point for Cumberland.
They're going to push in, kind of an awkward approach, try to catch Arcadia a little flat-footed. Racer is in a lot of trouble, does grab the Mega. He can drops the duplicate, but can't can't get the kill at least. Now Racer gets saved as an orbital ray is thrown in. Aruda picks Heekin down to the sky. Racer still has 0 health to work with. Neither does Finlay, though. Do they try to pop a rally in this late in the fight? They do not. They're just going to give this one over. Arcadia will succumb, and Cumberland will get control.
As Bar is so able to find 2 key picks on those DPS there, because Aruda had the Death Blossom you could have thrown it at any point if you didn't find that kill. So clutchness coming in from the side of Cumberland. Got 3 ults to be able to commit into this next fight, but Arcadia is ready, 4 in their back pocket.
Including the Blade, which had so much value before. He's doing such a good job just getting in on the supports. And maybe you're just distracting Bar Soap and Leo Master, but Ginger Rifle is not getting that attention. It's going to be an early Death Blossom here, and this one finds Heekin right out of the gate. Dash up top there from Pip, and into the back line once again. +2. Here is Ginger Rifle, throws in a cage to try to swing back this 99-94 fight, but there is just nothing to be found here for Phoenix.
Excuse me. Is Arcadia, man, coming into Flashpoint, absolutely dominating so far. 1 more point to tie the series up once again at 2 apiece. And they look, they have Blade and Cage as Cumberland doesn't have anything to work with on this next point.
Arcadia win the last fight, spinning fewer ultimates. Nodi, good kill. Good kill to kick things off. This should be all guns pointed at Racer with no Juno on the battlefield to keep him topped off. This time Cumberland survived long enough to find the kill.
I was a little worried, like, once Arcadia lost one early, that they were going to look to try and use ults to try and retake and reflip that fight. I think the smart decision was just to die, let Cumberland take this first fight. You're still going to have the 2 ult advantage in this next engage. Just play it smart, make sure you retake with 5 and have your 2 ults to be able to commit.
Arcadia sending all 5 towards this high ground. Nodi coming in on a flank side, trying to distract that back line. As Pip is going to pull out the blade. And, this fight's kind of dropping down to the low ground with Racer's cage up. Cumberland were looking for any kind of cover. There's the dash out from Bar Soap. He can try to shadow step away. Both managed to survive for now. And Cumberland, they do eventually have to reset though.
Smart decisions to not feed that ult charge, because you could be looking at a situation where you get Rally and Orbital Ray to match what Cumberland already has. I still think it's likely Finlay's able to build this just in time. I'm looking at Aruda, who the DPS for Arcadia have been extremely aggressive all series long, looking for one of those Jabate and then Death Blossom on top of them.
Yeah, Cumberland doesn't come in the way they expected, though, as they speed in from the back side. Rally pop from Bar Soap. Master is taken down from the sky as Pip continues to haunt the supports here. But Aruda gets shut down before they ever get a chance to use the Death Blossom. Pip is going to have to win this one back if they're going to do anything, and that's just not going to happen.
Got the rally out of Bar Soap. Cumberland, however, didn't use anything else, so they're going to have 4 to use in this next fight. But with the dueling orbital rays coming in, having the rally from Finlay is going to feel very good. I'd be a little bit worried about Hikendo. Hikendo's actually found picks now and then with the high noon, and it can buy a lot of space.
Nobody once again hunting into the back line. 2 opening shots on the saving Joe, but Heekin throws in the Deadeye to finish them off. 3-piece, 4-piece for Heekin. And the orbital ray is just celebratory. The laser light show here. And Cumberland are right back at this map.
Keeping themselves and their hopes alive of trying to not give Arcadia any kind of breathing room to get back in the series. Nodi was able to hold on to the Death Blossom as we head to, I believe it looks like we're heading to Ducks for the next one. So I'm excited because this is where these last 2 points, you start introducing high ground into a ground and pound map.
Yeah, we have Ducks and Refinery left, but 2 kind of weird ones. And I think Pip could have, could be able to dance up to both sides very well. As much as they have been dancing front and back into the back line. There's the speed ring on to Racers. They tried to do a kind of a loop around on that left-hand side. They do get matched. Ginger Rifle with a big advantage, but Death Blossom finds one, ends up trading 4-4 here on this point. Rally popped as Arcadia University are trying to back in here, but I think it's too split. They had already invested to try to push out and end up not retreating together. Cumberland are able to capitalize and find some early picks here. Saving Jones low as well. That's the only support left standing. Pip needs to kill everybody now. I mean, there's 2. There's another good slash. Ginger Rifle's going to go down as well. This one's going down to the wire. Nodi and Heekin are still left against Racer and Pip. Everybody's low. No supports. Heekin's going to find Racer. 2v1 against Pip. Nobody has control of the point either. Pip finds Nodi. Deflect, though. The Deadeye hits Aruda. It's a 1v1. Heekin is low, and Pip wins the day.
Oh, what a crazy back and forth fight. And now Ginger Rifles looking to re-engage. Now it's a 3v3.
Yeah, Ginger Rifle's right back in here. That win from Pip did grant them percentage and control, but the rally keeps Pip on the outside long enough. It's looking like this is going to be a cap. Pip is very low. Oh, just in time. Racer returns. Pip kind of just ducking it onto the point, denies the cap. Now they're going to force Ginger Rifle back. Cage fight, didn't get anything.
I don't know if they were trying to. It almost
just
felt
for
like they were
shield.
using it as a shield.
Yeah, it's just for shield.
Which I don't think I've ever seen that. That is something I can check off my list of seeing cage fight used for. It's just a giant shield to protect their team. 60% and counting for Arcadia.
I mean, you get control. They're able to get a pick on the back of that. Nodi works in outside, so Arcadia have a player advantage. Ginger Rifle just standing here waiting. Orbital throwing it over the top. That was a lot of damage. Good Lord! Cumberland just snapped their fingers and half of Arcadia disappeared.
I think that's actually very advantageous for Arcadia. You get that orbital ray out, and then you build a decent amount of your DPS ultimates at the same time. So when you re-engage to use your incoming orbital ray that Saving Joe has, Pip should be able to have the blade and Aruda should be able to follow up with a Death Blossom. That is the win condition for Arcadia playing for, because all they got to do is win one more fight, Jeff, and they are tying up this series.
Stack ultimates. We had an early cage fight here out of Ginger Rifle. And yeah, Racer just immediately goes down. We're not seeing any investment, just like you're talking about. Arcadia are going to hold onto their ultimates.
So yeah, we'll have Cumberland with both of their DPS ultimates, and they'll likely get Rally online, as Arcadia will have everything except their cage. This is the penultimate moment that Arcadia has been playing for. Do they make it happen and tie up this series? I mean, it's not over if they don't get this, but like this is like their big moment to really bring it home.
And it's just going to be right up the gut. Nothing fancy here out of Arcadia. Right. Everybody trying to duck behind the pillar of the Deadeye from Heekin. This is going to push this all the way to a 99-99 fight. Trying to drop down, see if they can find Pip, who's got a blade. Settles for Aruda, gets a couple shots, but Racer's there to back him up, and the Katana is out. Nodi is down, and now just a couple supports hiding outside. Ginger Rifle has no choice but to kind of pass through the point because the yellow bar is going, and this is Arcadia on point here to tie up the series. It's going to be a dance from Aruda and celebrations. We're nodding it too.
Man, this is everything and more we could have wanted out of Arcadia versus Cumberland. The favored Cumberland not finding it so easy going up against the other kings of the East Division of Division 2, who we kind of, I wouldn't say we looked them off or anything like that, but we said Cumberland is the favorite coming into here, and they are proving us wrong and proving us why they're the other undefeated team.
Now Cumberland will have map pick as we head into map 5. When we come back, we're headed back to Escort. We'll see you here in a minute. Well, your D2 Grand Finals now sitting out in once again at 2-2 after Arcadia is able to come back there in their pick of New Junk City. Take that one 3-1. Now we're headed over to Escort here. And I mean, we only got 3 maps to determine who is there going to be our Grand Finals champion, Ray.
This is the most interesting map pick, in my opinion, of the whole series, folks, because we've been stuck in Amalgam meta, but we're going to a map that necessarily doesn't predicate that kind of a play style. It is Circuit Royale, as we saw earlier a couple weeks back, Jeff, when me and you were casting, and I believe BSC was going up against UCI here. UCI took him to play Sigma here, and it was crazy.
Oh, we've seen... still seeing Sigma played here. Actually, I'd say Sigma has become back a little bit. Where we started to be, like, you stopped seeing the full poke meta on Circuit there during the Orisa meta. I think we've actually seen Sigma return a little bit more now that we've gotten into Amalgam meta. And, we've also seen fun stuff on this. This could be a great place to bring out the Reinhardt for Arcadia as well. I'm just saying. I have seen so many great Reinhardt holds on this map.
Which it just throws a lot of interesting variables into the equation of what kind of compositions we get. It's not like we knew New Junk City. We were pretty much going to come in and both teams are going to play Amalgam most likely. So here it just adds that layer of intrigue and mystique into the pre-analysis that we're going through right now.
Well, I think back to King's Row and Heekin on that Widowmaker, right? So, I mean, I think Cumberland are betting on that, to be perfectly honest. They're betting that Heekin can win the hit scan war. I think that is the thought process behind this. We'll see if that, their comps will pretty quickly tell us if that's accurate. But that's my speculation going into this.
I'm curious to see, too, because Aruda showed a lot of promise, especially on the Sojourn back on Oasis. So, I think, and even Pip had their moments on King's Row with the Sojourn as well. So both are definitely have the capabilities as, throw that out the window because defensively Cumberland is going straight up Malga and they're going to go Reaper and they're going to have Hikendo go to the Genji this time and take a page out of Pip's book.
That's the first time we've seen Hikendo on the Genji today.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Which is really exciting. As you see Arcadia loading up Pip, probably going to just take a quick little shot on the Widow. And I wouldn't be surprised here if we see Pip also match the Genji.
Yeah, they're not even going to take that quick shot. It's going to be the Echo May. That's what Arcadia is showing us here out of the gate. Well, going over the top, do a little bit of scouting. Does not see a Widowmaker. Says, okay, right back to the front line. You know what you're dealing with. Ooh, does see Noni. They're on the Mega. Trying to play a little cheeky here on this flank side. Does use the Wraith form to get out and back around the wall. You can see Pip coming in pursuit with that focusing beam. Oh, and Ginger Rifle gets stuck in the other room. Ginger Rifle uses their override, get all the way back. The pursuit's still in. Arcadia is still trying to take down this Maga. There goes 2 into the room. Pip dies trying to make it happen. Wall will block a retreat momentarily. But speaking of retreats, there goes Arcadia.
Yeah, Nodi finding 2 picks in that fight, sending Finlay and Pip back to the spawn room. However, in the meantime, Aruda has built up a blizzard. So you're going to have to...
How in the hell?
Yeah, I'm like, if I'm Cumberland, I am not expecting this. So this could be just like, something that totally throws them off. Something they're just completely thrown for the loop of them having that already.
Nodi's hoping they don't know that they've got this Death Blossom. Sneaky into the back. Couple shots down onto the Juno. Here comes the attack from the front line. The Death Blossom thrown in mid-blizzard, interrupting the dance. And that blizzard turned out big. I don't think they saw that one coming at all, Ray.
Exactly. They went for the huge Death Blossom play and didn't expect to be Death Blossoming in the middle of a blizzard. So it was too cold out there to be dancing. Like, I know you need to dance to keep up your body heat in there, but the blizzard is just too cold. It freezes you. So we're in the situation now for Arcadia. We're going to have both orbital rays online, but Pip, curious what the dupe target's going to be.
That is typically a smart pick. You get double cardiac overdrive is just so powerful. Then immediately has to back up. Here comes the blade. Well, okay, that was a blade from Heekin. Heekin's blade just got absolutely stomped about halfway through the voice line.
Huge back up away from the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate. The cage is going to get absolutely zero.
Rally invested in here, too. Nody's going to get one. Barsoap's going to get one. So the cage might have actually not been as bad as it initially looked. We do have a 1v2 left on this point. Oh, Racer just put both guns into the throat of Heekend. Wraith form used. 1v1 left here. Did your rifles return? This is an interesting one.
Really has, as the players for Arcadia have also returned.
So got some little bit of support there from the high ground. Trying to wait for the rest of the defense to show up. Heekend's back on a Tracer to get back into this fight. Finlay does have the only ultimate on the battlefield in the form of that rally. And Ginger Rifle just take the brunt of all 5 players worth of damage. +1 to Arcadia as the Blizzard is thrown in on the back of this point to secure this cap.
Totally worth it if you decide of Arcadia. You had to ensure you get that. If you don't get that point, it turns from you're in a great spot to you're in a pretty bad spot, actually. So throw that in, make sure you secure it. Put yourself. As Nody, who last time got absolutely flummoxed by Death Blossom inside of a blizzard that they weren't expecting to happen, gonna have it once again. And they've been great with their Death Blossoms in this series, so that's the one we're looking for in this next fight.
And a lot of great places to stage on this corner. But he's already going to find first blood on this. I'm not going to, just go face to face here in the hallway. Big slam! The Death Blossom outside finds the supports. And beautiful fight here from the defense of Cumberland.
I was going to almost say you didn't need that Death Blossom, but basically just insurance. And they were going to try and stagger saving Joe, who's able to get out of there thanks to the rocket boosters there. So as we see Pip, who's over on the Ashe now, this is where we kind of expect to start seeing some hit scans coming out, but I like the Ashe coming out.
Yeah, look at Outrange Heekend, who's made a swap to a hit scan of their own. Rally, oh god, the orbital, does the orbital even make it out? I don't think Saving Joe's orbital hit the battlefield. It absolutely got canceled.
It was unlikely, even if you got it out, you were going to win that because you lost your judo in the process, but that is, oh man, that is just wind out of the sails for the side of Arcadia. Cumberland was able to win that with just the orbital ray, so they still have a lot in their back pocket to be able to work with. They do know that he's right there. Great wall, can't disengage, and he's dead.
Oh no, what a raid out of Arcadia! Huge play. Nody with 1 health gets killed by a coach gun of all things. Pip simultaneously getting a better position to shoot your supports while getting the kill. You can just strike back as Nody also got a kill, so it's 2 players down for Arcadia, including their Juno. Another shot onto Finlay? Oh, Heekend's just kind of got underneath. No way, in the skin. Just a tick hiding here back behind Arcadia, and they don't get it. They get shut down. What a play by Heekend.
Devastating. He can, as you kind of talked about how you felt like they felt a little bit more, not that they haven't played well in other heroes, but they felt extremely comfortable on this hit scan. Going over to the Cassidy now, and they've absolutely been wrecking havoc.
Yeah, very fast push in. Look at the aggressive shadow step, and it's going to work out brilliantly. The cage fight, throw it in, and it's all you're going to need. You've already gotten 2, make it 3. Leon Master coming up, lighten up the feed. You always love to see your Junos getting in the mix.
Arcadia, however, has been stockpiling a war chest of ultimates to be able to come into this next fight with only 30 seconds left on the clock. Arcadia's got to make it happen, and they got to try and get as much distance as they can without having to commit all of their ults.
And yeah, they're going to try to go up through the hallway. You can see the mark there. Overrun in. Everybody stop. Massive overrun. With the time the cage has popped, Arcadia hasn't had no health, but they have a blizzard. They're able to bait several people down into that hallway, and just in the nick of time, Aruda gets the blizzard in there, gets everybody with it, and saves Arcadia's attack.
And they're able to bank the rally. One thing Saving Joe has to make sure they do is get up this orbital ray as quickly as possible. They're going to need it because Leon Master has it online, as well as a Death Blossom from Nody.
I mean, orbital out of defense just to push their way through back onto the cart. Death Blossom thrown in from Nody as well. The rally's up from Finlay. Saving Joe just now able to get the orbital online. This one will hit the battlefield, but Arcadia are down in players as the overtime is going. The rally's stunned onto Noni. They're trying to Wraith form out. See if they can focus the Juno out of the sky. They're doing a good job of hiding in their own ultimate. Aruda gets the headshot with the icicle. This card's starting to inch forward as Arcadia start to run away with this very important fight on the back of point B. Ginger Refill is going to go ahead and throw in this cage, kind of buy time for reinforcements to return. We did get one kill, but that's going to be it. You do get the blizzard out of Aruda, though.
Wow, just when you thought a second point hold was coming in for the side of Cumberland, Arcadia able to come through in the clutch, make things happen. Did it cost a lot? Yes, but you will take it. Your hopes are still alive, and you're going to be able to get a decent amount of distance on this third point. See Kendo going over to the Genji now.
That's enough of the hit scan. Back into the Genji. Push up to the high ground. Good wall there on the Nodi. Oop, yep. Went to Wraith form out. Like, wait a minute. Battle step. See if they can get in behind. Trying to stage in a position to find the supports. Combined with Ginger Rifle on that approach, on that overrun. Rally now thrown in. Look like they're trying to just focus down Racer, but Racer will not be destroyed. Finlay there with a big rally and 2 kills to boot.
Always like to make the later support ult tends to be the better one sometimes. I don't think that range true with Orbital Ray, for example, but in this rally situation, it worked out beautifully for Finlay.
I mean, you still have a little bit of that overshielding going into what is this next fight. Ginger Rifle gets caught inside the cage. A couple of guns all pointed at the tank. But Noni is there with a pair of shotguns of their own. The blizzard is out. Noni's able to Wraith form out for the ultimate and find Aruda with a headshot. The seconds will wane down, and Arcadia will not find their third point on the board. A late orbital ramming, barring the most insane clutch you've ever seen. This is a 5v1 left on this point in OT. And that's going to be the hole out of the Phoenix.
I mean, essentially you get it all the way to the end, though, considering how that second point was looking for Cumberland, for them to come through. I mean, this is a very normal spot to be held at on a point like Circuit Royale. It's very hard to complete, so I think all things considered, Arcadia put themselves in a very, very good spot to try and take the lead in the series once again.
Definitely winnable. I don't know if it's a very good spot, but it's definitely winnable. I mean, Circuit is hard to cap all the way through. That I 100% agree with. There was the cancel, that big cancel on a Saving Joe's Orbital in that big ult fight. I mean, kind of a defining fight here for this defense from Cumberland.
Yeah, I think you kind of worded what I was trying to say a lot better, considering 30 seconds left. They're barely at this hill to get it all the way to the end of third point. If they didn't even get to third point, I probably would have said Cumberland's probably winning this map.
Yeah.
Now they put it in a situation where I think it's up in the air.
I mean, you're right. It did not look like they were going to get second point whatsoever. Did a really good job to push that all the way through. And it certainly does not feel predetermined. This is far enough where Cumberland's going to have to work for it. Like, it's going to take a good push through point A and B. I mean, they're going to have to play for the long haul here. You can't just stack up 5 ultimates and go throw a wall on point B. I mean, you have to cap with some time and figure you're going to have to basically push all the way through. So, very winnable from both sides, as a matter of fact. These two teams are so even, Ray. They're so even.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, grand finals, you always like to hope you're getting, not only the 2 best teams, but an even awesome, great match. And it's not always the case sometimes. Sometimes one team is just better than the others. We've had past Overwatch League grand finals that have been kind of one-sided. This one has been none of the sort. All maps have been close. All maps could have gone the other way if things fall for the other team in certain situations. So coming into this defense for the side of Arcadia, and have Pip go over to that Genji and Aruda play the Tracer. I mean, not Tracer, the Mei, which, I mean, to be fair, the Mei, has been working out wonders for them. So it's not a surprise that they're keeping this, but we see Hikendo highlighting the Pharaoh, who we've seen them play this in the series so far, especially when you know there's no hit scan or echo on the side of Arcadia.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's going to be a smart choice. I mean, as coming ahead on an attack, they could always change if they do scout, you know, a Widowmaker or something on the other side. But, you know, they choose wisely here, as in fact, there is nothing. No, not even in the back line. You know, there's nobody that can really deal with this Pharah. Slow push around those front quarters. Arcadia are playing pretty far back considering the brawly composition style that they're in. Racer absorbs a lot of damage, but is able to draw a couple players in, and things turn into a messy little mosh pit here in the streets of Circuit Royale. Looks like the defense of Arcadia are able to swing that one around. That kill on a Ginger Rifle will be the beginning of the end for this attack.
Oh, I was going to say losing Finlay was going to force Arcadia to have to back up, but getting that stagger onto Leon Master, now they can basically play as aggressive as they want. Finlay will be back in time. It's just all is good for Arcadia.
I will say that I think it means you probably won't have your speed ring here because you're having to use that to get Finlay back in the fight. Okay, there it is. It is going to be used as a disengage just in time to get Racer out of there. Racer was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. As see Hikendo just raining the skies very close to this rocket barrage.
Oh, and one of my favorite skins in the game. I love that skin so much. Put so much damage in around this corner and just able to corral Arcadia, pressuring them back with 130 damage flying out of that rocket launcher for each one. Racer getting the business into one of those directs. Oh, and over the top. That's just fish in a barrel here for Hikend.
That's the power of some of these, you know, aerial attack heroes when there's no hit scan available whatsoever. That's going to be the point cap for Cumberland. And really, no one had to use any ults on either side. So we're going to have quite these fights coming next as both teams have full utility belts of ults to use.
I mean, I think it was a bit of a difficult decision there for Arcadia. They opt to stick with these ultimates as opposed to, you know, maybe going to an Echo to try to help counter against Hikend. But I think they can get it done with the Blizzard and the Blade into this next fight. Cage Fight's going to catch Pip right out of the gate. Barrage over the top finds everyone in it. So much damage. Sammy Joe able to keep some people alive, and the Blizzard hangs on. So Arcadia, through this nitty-gritty fight, trust in their ultimates, and they stay the course.
Blizzard, absolutely insane. They're going to get a big stagger onto Bar of Soap.
That orbital keep him alive through a barrage. That was such massive value. I had like 2,000 healing in a matter of seconds.
Hey, you think things are going bad too, but the Blizzard stops everyone in their tracks so they can't follow up on the low targets of Arcadia, and they can just free fire and find kills.
Brilliant. Brilliant timing out of Aruda, and a brilliant deflect out of Pip to ensure this defense will continue to hold.
They're just looking for follow-up. They get it on the Bar of Soap, and they're just continuing to play this aggressive playstyle that Arcadia has been playing all series long.
I mean, they had to, with the massive time bank that Cumberland had on the board. Arcadia have to play fast, have to play aggressive. You catch Nodi out of position there, and it's another early pick. This is going to buy even more time off the clock. What a beautiful response out of Arcadia in this past 2 minutes.
That's the name of the game at this point. Try and drain as much time off of this clock. This high ground to hill area is so hard to push as an attacking team. We got a lot of stuff to work with here. Even Orbital Ray, Leon's still 20% away. They can get aggressive with this.
And there's going to be the Orbital combined with the Blade, and the Rally is immediately taken off the battlefield into the back line. Pip doesn't even need the second slash. 3K there for Pip with the Blade, and yet another fight win for Arcadia.
Yeah, they got Nodi's Death Blossom out of the way as well. So you got Death Blossom Rally out of the way. Unfortunately, you know, Leon Master will have this Orbital Raid. You don't have any kind of defensive utilities. You also had to throw the... I mean, you could say maybe you throw in Blizzard to not allow them to push with this Orbital Ray.
I mean, when we first saw Juno launch, the Orbital Ray was actually used as a defensive tool to try to survive Blizzard with mixed success back in the very early days of that Orisa meta. We've seen this interaction before. Both cages ready to go here as well. Barrage over the top. Could it be the one to tilt the difference? There it is! Oh, yes it is! The answer is a big, giant, emphatic yes! As Hikend gets 5!
I couldn't tell if that was damage boosted from the orbital ray, or initially it wasn't, and then it was. But regardless, it was just blink of the eye, and there was 3 kills. And now they get aggressive and just use the cage and don't allow anyone to touch. What a beautiful play coming out from Ginger Rifle.
I love that so much. It's a big investment, but again, you ensure the cap here, and you're going to get some space on the back of it. Stomp doesn't quite land onto Saving Joe, but you have isolated Aruda, who does not have Cryo Freeze.
Still a long way to go with how difficult this 3rd point can be to push. Win condition is still on the table for both of these teams, and Arcadia is going to have both the Blizzard and the Cage to work with coming up on both of their support ultimates as well. So Arcadia is going to have a couple fights here where they can start draining some of this time off of the board.
Smart move from Pip, kind of just mark Nody on that outside. Don't let this Reaper set up. He wants, Reaper absolutely wants to set up in this window. Try to drop it above. Heekin's going to meet you there. Pip gets out mad. Thinks they're just going in for a 1v1, and Heekin is there with a big old surprise. Now Orbital Ray thrown in from Saving Joe. Nody does get picked off. Saving Joe finds a beautiful shot up in the window to make that happen. The rest of Cumberland are disengaging from this. Blizzard now thrown in is going to completely negate the rally on the other side, but Ginger Rifle's been able to run through, get a pick. Oh, it's still a back and forth on this point. It looks like the defense have the edge, but just barely. The wall that tried to deny heals and an escape there from Ginger Rifle, but Nody has managed to find a pick on Aruda while this is all going on. Pip chasing down through the skies and trying to find Lean Master, but Nody picks up another one. Pip picks up another one. Back and forth these two teams go as they turn the final corner, and Pip finds a 3rd.
As Pip situational awareness came through pretty strong. They were trying so hard to kill Ginger Rifle, but the entire time Leon Master was just sitting there pocketing him and keeping him alive that much longer. So he immediately swapped targets, started going for Leon Master, ended up getting him down, and then they're able to clean up after that. Blade online for Pip as well.
Oh, Cage Barrage. That's nasty. Look at all the damage. Savage goes down. The rally has to be used desperately out of Arcadia. And, I mean, it just gets immediately shut down. A Cryo Freeze trying to buy time for reinforcements here. Do they get another fight?
They should be able to get another touch, but it's going to be a staggered one. Blade and a possible Cage, and ooh, Aruda's on the Bastion.
Ready was set up here with the Defender's advantage. The Blade is out from Pip, but Racer is already down. Orbital is in here from Cumberland and Phoenix, and the Bastion will not get it done. Cumberland come back on Circuit Royale, and they will reclaim their lead in the series.
As when it came down to it, Cumberland made some big-time ult plays. That Cage Barrage seemed like it sealed the deal, and they were able to bring it home and put themselves on match point. One more map for Cumberland to try and take this Division 2.
I mean, what a smart swap just going to the far in general. Cumberland rolls out on the far out of the gate there on point A. With a really good read on Arcadia. There's nothing to really counter it. And in fact, they never really make the swap. I thought we might see, maybe Pip goes back into the Echo or something of that nature to try to match in the skies. They never do. They never go to match Heekin, and Heekin ends up getting the last laugh on that one.
As Arcadia, when their backs have been against the wall and they've been down in this series, they've always had the mental fortitude to strike back. So given they still have 2 more maps to try and turn this around, I would not count them out. We do know the next map type is going to be Control as we swing back around to the first map type.
Yeah, we're resetting the types here in the series. And, I mean, just a reminder, Arcadia did win Control, and yeah, the first round on Oasis, was pretty close, and we ended up going all 3, but those second 2 rounds, Arcadia seemed to really run away with it. But, with that said, we can't go back to Oasis. Those bans, or what has been played and what has been banned, are still in effect here.
As we're just going to have to wait to see what the fresh map bans come in for the next Control map. Very curious to see, as we mentioned, Oasis off of the table. The one that would be the most interesting would be like if we went to like an Ilios.
Ilios because it's the home of Winston. Like,
yeah, where
you
you
don't see
have
much
like
Margot on
the
Leos.
ability where we might see dive into the equation.
Yeah.
But pretty much any other of the control maps are likely to be more Malga based. Like if we go to Nepal or if we go to like Antarctic or something like that, they'll be more. I mean, Antarctic does have the one high ground map, but I still seen a lot of teams play the Malga on there. And we do have the confirmation. It does look like we will be going to Antarctic Peninsula for what could be the final map of the series, depending on how this goes for Cumberland.
I mean, Arcadia have been banning out dive maps all day long. They weren't going to take us to Ilios. They weren't going to take us anywhere weird.
They actually banned Nepal.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly not surprising because Nepal you can kind of play a little bit of weird stuff. Like this is keeping very ground and pound. I'm thinking on Sanctum you end up playing a little bit more range. Perhaps you fall into Heekin's pocket. This could also just be a little bit of a comfort pick on top of not wanting to play ball. Maybe they've scrimmed, have good luck with scrims on this map or something of that nature.
As the series could culminate here. If not, things get really interesting if Arcadia manages to win this map. As we talked about, as you can see on the screen, they did win Oasis. So then that puts the power into Cumberland's hands on the final map. But Arcadia's got to come through big on this map and keep their hopes alive. As we've said, whenever they do go down in the series, they have striken back. So can they do it once again? We will be starting on Labs as our first submap of Antarctic Peninsula.
I hope we get a map 7. I just want more of these two teams. And I mean, I can't help but think, we rate Cumberland so high because we've seen how they compete against top 10 teams in the country. And if Arcadia, I mean, the way they've looked today, it wouldn't surprise me to see this team starting to creep up into those Okra rankings and start getting this team name on people's tongues a bit more, because this has been one hell of a performance. Very smart swaps, very smart picks, very smart plays out of Arcadia has kept them in this series, and we're seeing them go back to what we saw in the very first submap to start this grand finals off.
Oh, I agree. Like, I'd be in this situation where I don't know if necessarily they'd make the top 20 yet, but I feel like they'd be one of those like first couple teams just outside.
Yeah, like they're punching on it, man. They're punching on it.
Yeah. As we see the Rhine, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. They're going right back to what we saw in the very first submap at Oasis. We're into the Reinhardt sim strats with Naruto on this Sojourn. Naruto had found so many first picks in that opening map on Garden.
My favorite skins, the cardboard Rhine skin. That's what I use in Overwatch.
Hey, we got Cardboard Diva coming.
Yes.
All right. Arcadia fighting to keep the grand finals alive here. We're going to go face to face. That shield's already low. They're making Ryan useless down in the back, and Aruda is able to strike back. Clap back with the back against the wall, but Racer has full, and Pit melts. He can down to the sky. When's the last time you saw a Sim get a kill onto Afara? The DPS from Arcadia have kept them entrenched on this. Now they have a Sim teleport if they want to use it, and they force Cumberland back despite not having their Ryan in the battle, who's gone to a Maga, by the way.
It was almost like this teleporter was forced them back, essentially. Like it was a distraction. Like, oh crap, they can teleport onto us. We got to back up here. We can't afford to aggress.
Yeah, they had to respect it. Can't afford to have, a Rooter or Pit just suddenly appear behind you there. Cumberland had to respect it, get some reinforcements back. So 20% on the board now here for Arcadia with an overclock to work with, but Pip is in trouble. Got caught off down in the pit. Here comes Heekin, drop it into the back line like an eagle looking for a fish, but just absolutely gets the wings cut. As Fiddly gets the shield bash kill to give the advantage back over to Arcadia in an orbital ray right on top of Ginger Rifle. And that's going to clean things up here for Arcadia.
I feel like we're seeing so many things we don't see against Pharah players. So you talked about, when's the last time we saw a Sim kill a Pharah? When's the last time we saw a shield bash, basically, from the brig?
kill a Pharah. Yeah.
This is some crazy stuff we're seeing, but Cumberland got a lot to be able to throw into this next fight. 4 ults.
Pip's going over to an Echo to try to match Heekin in the sky. A change they did not make in the entirety of map 5, but immediately Heekin gets 2 directs in the punch to take him down. Now the barrage thrown in, trying to come in with a cage. Aruda's able to find them with the shot, but still, Nodi is getting so much work done inside that cage that this was going back over, and Cumberland grabbed control for the first time here in Antarctica.
as we see some swaps coming in, Hikendo getting off of the Pharah, realizing, well, Pip's brought out, you know, someone who can kind of counter me a little bit. So let's go back onto my tried and true, you know, hit scan type player, and it can help me, you know, take some mid-range shots at this Echo that Pip's playing now.
Pip on a deep flank over there by themselves. Yeah, that was extremely dangerous.
Yeah. It's been the one thing with Pip has been, they have been playing high risk, high reward. In that case, they got extremely punished.
I mean, that's just like a free 20%, just based on that out of position play. And it'd be good shots out of Hekin. Gotta give some props where it's deserved.
Oh, for sure. As Cumberland has both these support ultimates as well. Like, the Young Master can just press Q and basically win the fight.
Yeah, but Nodi's looking to go right into your backline. Aruna had the rail in the gun, and Pip's fine Hekin, but Nodi still able to come in, find the sandwich, has a Death Blossom if they want it, drops back to deal with Pip, realizing that they're the biggest threat left on the board. I said, hey, you still have Aruna down below. Systematic fight here and a good one out of Nodi and the rest of the Phoenix.
Because by the time this next fight kicks off, the ult difference is going to be nothing. They're going to basically be tied up. And Cumberland, I mean, still has Rally, still has Death Blossom. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, this one's going to be explosive. 71-71 on the board. You got Nodi still trying to play on that left flank angle, and Arcadia still trying to push forward. Jail Bash cancel. And it's just forced back there as the rally from Cumberland makes everybody from Arcadia disengage. They're trying to use the overclock to find kills on this disengage. Now Razor moves in and has the cage fight down. I think just the shielding there as Death Blossom finds Pip somewhere on this high ground. And Arcadia kind of fumble this big old fight.
Point flip did come in. Hikendo gets the high noon, but it's not even going to matter. Clean up ensues, and there's not really anyone available to touch for the side of Arcadia.
Yeah, Rudy, you're going the wrong direction.
Doesn't matter. He was going to get found out. I think he pretty much had surmised you got to live to play the next point. I mean, this is kind of how it went on Oasis. Arcadia did drop the first point map after playing Rhine on Oasis as well. Then they followed up the next two maps. They played extremely like what we expect meta, being the Reaper and the Echo, and they were able to win after that. So we'll have to see if that same game script continues to reign true.
That kill onto Pip in the air was so nasty. He just gets the tune. Like, oh, you're going to swap to Echo? Oh, you think you're going to counter me, huh? And just does this slick, like, I mean, I don't know what that was. F21 move. Kind of just slides in behind to get the second direct. That was so cool. Makes it look easy. He can make it look easy.
Pause coming through with just so much tension in the air for this series. Man, as you mentioned, I just want a map number 7, man. Like I want to go back to, I want, like, are we going to hybrid? Are we going to escort? I would love to see like what happens as we go into map number 7. Cumberland definitely feels like they have the momentum in their favor, but every time I feel like I've said that, Arcadia comes through and makes some magic happen. So would not be shocked if they win these next two maps and we're headed to map 7.
Nope, it's already happened once. It's the exact same thing happened. It's the exact same thing that happened back on Oasis. And I wouldn't expect any Reinhardt here as we head into Icebreaker and the subsequent submaps. We're probably going to get the Malga right out of the gate. Now it's the Aruna Sojourn. There's always a little, whether we're getting the Genji or the Sojourn, Arcadia do like throwing these little wrinkles in, and I think it's that little detail is kind of where it's going to lie. We've called it smart picks throughout this point. Does it continue to be smart to not play meta here moving forward?
That is the question of the day. Is it going to be smart? Because in situations, we've seen them match up well in the straight up Reaper Echo mirror, but they've also had times where those little wrinkles have also done them well. I mean, just think back to last map with the May on Circuit Royale. So, and even on King's Row, I mean, they did end up losing that one, but the May had a lot of value as well. So it's a lot of things to think about if you Arcadia win. You don't win this map, you are going home as silver medalists.
Cumberland Phoenix one sub-map away from the championship. And are showing us something a little different. This is back into a comfort pick here.
5, 4, the
We'll see if this is what they roll out on. It looks like it is, which, as you mentioned, this is definitely within the wheelhouse of Cumberland, but Hip is on the Cassidy, which we actually have not seen that out of them today. Reaper Cassidy.
I mean, we're getting Heekin on the Soj. So it's like they've kind of swapped sides a little bit. Oh, on the Pip cast, you're not going to be seeing a whole lot of it here in this first fight. Dies the very first thing right out of the gate. Big dash through and a kill from Heekin as well. So strong start from Cumberland here on Icebreaker.
As Cumberland's already like, look, like, we don't want to mess around with this anymore. We are going to our comfort picks. We are going to make sure we send Arcadia packing. As we see Arcadia now going to go over to the Junker Queen, because we know from King's Row, they have no problem playing this composition either.
And they're going into more of the ground dive version of this, not kind of the brawly side. So I'd expect them to like amp speed, shout into the backline, and everybody try to converge onto the supports. Yeah, drop down there from Arcadia as they're looking to stage. Finlay trying to go from underneath, but here comes Heekin over the top, and Nodi's already picked up one. Nodi is just deep in behind, and Arcadia never get a chance to set up for this fight. It is pretty scrappy here. His kills have literally gone back and forth with Racer getting all three here for Arcadia. And still standing, moving on to this point.
Yeah, and is exactly with your tank still being alive, especially with Bar Soap going down. Point flip for Arcadia, as it's going to be the name of the game, and you do get Finlay, but Arcadia is going to be trying to hurry up and find picks quickly as Cumberland has more sustain.
Whoa! Overclock from Heekin finds two immediately. Back-to-back beautiful shots, including the red dot onto Aruda. And there's the flip immediately. That was fast.
Yeah, just in the blink of an eye and the press of a Q button, Kendo clicks some heads and flips the team fight on its head. They get the follow-up onto Pip, and it's back to the spawn room as the pressure and situation is mounting for Arcadia. They got to regroup and re-attack quickly. They do have this Kitsune Rush to be able to use, but it's going to be tough when you're facing an orbital array.
Again, looking to go fast, looking to get in the back line. Kitsune Rush will get you there even faster alongside Shout and Amp Speed. And there's it thrown in right over the gut. It looks like they're just pointed right at Ginger Rifles that should come in. Nodi got low, but is able to escape away. Meanwhile, Ginger Rifle goes shooting forward through the orbital ray. And easily using that to make sure I win another fight here. This is dangerously close to a Cumberland championship.
As orbital rays off the table, I mean, you will get Rampage, you got B, you got Blade. This is going to be tough because you do have the beat to counteract the... Oh, Nodi's down!
Yep, tried to pull out the blade, and Racer wins it out with the axe. Finlay moves on to the point. Make sure the overtime is started, but will die. 96% rally out. I mean, the Rampage out from Racer is massive. Is able to find three with it, and Arcadia have dug deep and found a way to hang on.
And they're able to hold on to their blade as well, so they keep hope alive and have at least one tool in the toolbox, and they still have their beat as well, so... All things considered, you can use the beat to counteract, either to give you extra sustain to match Bar Soap's rally, or to deal with what will be Hikendo's overclock coming up. So Arcadia has given themselves a window of opportunity to try and force a map 3.
We're now under the tracer. That is everybody from Cumberland bunched up and dropped their rally. Ooh, Heekin finds Finlay. No, you needed that sound barrier. You needed that sound barrier desperately into this fight. Not to mention the blade, as Heekin has single-handedly removed both of those tools from Arcadia's war chest. In the 99 fight here for Cumberland, Heekin is going to throw in the overclock. Find two, including that kill onto Aruda. Cumberland Phoenix are going to flip this point. One lone Pip there, trying to hold on. It's a drop in from Finlay. The beat doesn't land, or at least faded away. I think it was just used to get close. It's not going to have the effect that you're looking for. Arcadia are looking desperate here. Cumberland can smell victory. They just have to get Racer, get this Doomfist off the battlefield, but Aruda finds the stick on the pulse. Nodi here gets a kill onto saving Joe. Racer's low. Racer is down. The yellow bar is disappearing quickly. Aruda's got to find a way back onto this point. Is it a bit of a duel with Nodi on the outside? Heekin's already down. Nodi picks up their second in the fight. Pip is down as well, and Cumberland are your champions.
4-2 fashion. Cumberland at the end of the day with the pedigree they've brought in. They are young, but they have been very talented, and as we mentioned, top 15 in esports programs, and that finally came through in the end, and they're able to take down, which was quite the team in Arcadia, but they put up a great fight.
Oh, that's an understatement. Arcadia put up, a hell of a match here. Mad respect to this Arcadia squad. I was talking about, is there a tier break between Cumberland and the rest of this division? And Arcadia's like, no. We are right here neck and neck with them. You've got this Cumberland squad, hanging in there with top 10. As we talked about, I think Arcadia, they might be knocking on the door of D1 here sooner than we think as well.
I hope the rankings have been watching, because this was a show that I know they didn't win, but this was a valiant performance put up by them, considering how talented of a team Cumberland has been. They showed themselves and their school very proudly today.
Yeah, the Phoenix rise. Despite dropping the first map, the Phoenix rise and claim 2. It got close. They got close. Arcadia brought it back. Here on Flashpoint, they're able to tie it up after map 4. Brilliant performance from the DPS of Pippin Aruda through that one. But after that, it was pretty much all Cumberland once we hit Circuit Royale.
Congratulations to Cumberland getting the Division II East Grand Finals champion. I believe on the other side, I say it was like Illinois Wesleyan was. I can't remember who they were playing in the grand final, but that's another great matchup. If I might have to check the scoreboard during our break between games and let you guys know how that one went, because that was another big time Division II game.
What a debut from this freshman squad of Cumberland University. 4 out of 5 players freshmen. And they come home with a championship here at D2. And what flexibility shown from this squad all day. Particularly in the front line. God, those 2 DPS were ridiculous. He can play how many characters a day? I feel like he can play like 7 different heroes throughout this series.
And as you mentioned, the fact that they're all freshmen, they're going to have so much time and so many semesters to continue working together. It wouldn't surprise me if in a year or so we're seeing Cumberland as like one of those pristine esports teams, maybe even crack into the top 10 at this point.
Depending on how spring goes for them, I don't think it's that far out of their reach. I think they could absolutely make that happen. Let's take a look at this bracket and this amazing winners bracket run out of Cumberland Phoenix. Only dropping 3 maps in totality here in the postseason. Capping onto, means they dropped 4 maps total throughout the entirety of the fall 24 season, including regular season and postseason combined.
Absolutely ridiculous, and just a way to cap off the season for them. So I talked about, can't wait to see them eventually move into Division 1 and go against some of those top tier teams. I'd love to see them going against like the UCIs of the world, as you mentioned, the Bellevues, and can't wait.
You know what? And we've got some Division 1 coming up for you. Speaking of, we have the best of the best in collegiate Overwatch just on the horizon. We're going to take a little break, which would be a good time to use !G Fuel in chat for a chance to win our giveaway. But when we return, it's ISU taking on Winthrop for your D1 championship.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days ago.
Dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh! Yeah, there's something in there!
Want one?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It was worth it.
We've already had one banger grand final series here for your NECC Overwatch Championship. And we've got another one coming up. It's going to be the D1 Grand Finals just ahead. We have the two best schools in the country. And this feels like just a match that has been faded over the past several months here, Ray.
Yeah, ISU, Winthrop, #1 and #2 in the rankings for collegiate Overwatch, going at it. Rematch of the winners finals and grand finals of ABC, the homecoming collegiate competition. Will Winthrop be able to get revenge on ISU's revenge gambit in the grand finals from homecoming?
I was going to say, Winthrop did actually manage to win one of those. You know, you think of ISU and you think of this just kind of indomitable force dating all the way back. I mean, they're your NECC national champions. They're your defending champions right here at NECC, defending champions of CECC, the defending champions of ABC. ISU have been so dominant since spring 24 that, I mean, I almost forgot. I was like, wait a minute, Winthrop took them to 5 and beat them there in that winners finals. This is by no means a, you know, predetermined matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be the big question because, you know, watching the homecoming competition, well, it seems fitting of ISU. They always have to lose at some point and do the dirty run back in the lower bracket. It always seems to be their fate. But I mean, their sounding is always kind of like, look, we just needed more time to really get a wrangle on this meta. And as soon as they had more time to get a wrangle on it, they came back and I think it was 4-1 in ABC for the grand finals. So they dominated there once they figured out this Malga meta. So we'll have to see if Winthrop can make these necessary changes, or has ISU's teamwork, understanding of this meta just become so strong that they're that unfathomable force once again.
I mean, and I feel like ISU are really relying on that team strength. That is why we have seen them so dominant here over the past, 6 to 9 months, is how hard they work and how much they play together. It's been a core philosophy of this team that they always play in the same building together. They do a lot for team building and synergy. And I mean, this dates back to before, when Flutie first joined this roster, before Wheats was ever even hired to this roster, and we saw the American Tornado team, become the ISU team. And that's where we saw Redbird's dominance really bloom here in collegiate Overwatch. But even before that, it was important to them that they played together. They had high GPAs, and it was a very much a bonded team from the get-go. And it's nice to see that the new the new reign here in ISU, they've kept that philosophy as they've moved forward.
You have to keep in mind with the squad like ISU, this specific iteration, they've only been together since spring of last year. So they have a lot of runway to continue to be together and play together at ISU. I mean, they did, and they did lose who I thought was one of the up-and-coming most talented players on their squad was Skyle. And I mean, I was worried. I'm like, I was even talking to Light about it. Like when he mentioned it to me, I'm like, I thought he was one of your guys' best players and a big reason why you guys were so dominant in all 3 tournaments last season. And he's like, don't worry, we're cooking. And they bring in Luke Mino. So I'm like, I mean, if you're going to take Skyle out, Luke Mino's a great person to come in and take that spot. They haven't, lost a beat.
Though, I mean, and a lot of Skyle's strength, I think, was in the Ana, and there really hasn't been a lot of Ana over the past 6 months. Like, you see a little bit of it. I mean, Kuffa loves to play Winston. That is Kuffa's best hero. But still, I mean, coming into the Malga meta, you don't necessarily need an Ana player as much. And yeah, this has been quite the battlegrounds here for ISU. Let's take a look at our head-to-head between these two squads. A lot of recognizable names from both sides. A lot of Overwatch League experience here on both of these rosters.
I mean, you can't look at either of these teams and not recognize any of them. We all know who Maimon, Lethal, Kuffa, Luke Mina, Admiral is. We all know who Sam, Tree, Infected, Ultraviolet, and Rack Attack is. I mean, a lot of these players coming off, big moments in OWCS. A lot of these players, as we mentioned, both these teams are the final 2 in collegiate. Yeah. I think at this point, these are like the heap of the talent, especially in collegiate. But a lot of these are big, Western names.
I mean, these two have kind of separated themselves from Northwood and Maryville here, I think, in recent months. They've kind of created a bit of a separation where top 5 had been super competitive. I mean, ISU and Winthrop, these two rosters are just too good. There's just too much star power on these rosters. And I mean, I will say, I feel like Winthrop are going to be relying on that star power a little bit more here throughout this match, where ISU really relies on that teamwork.
As we get this series kicked off, map number 1 will be Control, as all series kick off in. And we got first map. It is going to be Lijiang Tower, and it feels like the perfect starting grounds. I mean, it's classic Overwatch when you think of Control, and it's like perfect map to be playing these Malga compositions.
It just occurred to me we did not see Lijiang Tower once in that last series.
Yep.
Like, neither banned nor picked.
Pretty crazy.
I mean, you know, tried and true. Like, this is the quintessential. I mean, it's, what, Lijiang Tower, Kings Row, Runasapi? Is that what we're doing here?
We're gonna have to figure that out, as we will be starting on Gardens for our first map of the day. As, I mean, I think we all know what we expect out of both of these teams. You got the Maimon and Tree battle on this Echo. That is what I am looking forward to, baby. Basically, one of the best DPS players NA has to offer, going against one of the best that EU has to offer on these Echo v Echo matchups.
Amazing how much EU talent, or I mean, even just kind of international talent ISU has brought to the squad. I mean, really kind of opening the door for NA Collegiate worldwide. And showing how beneficial it can be to these gamers, and not just that, but how competitive these squads can be. Right out of the gate, you are in fact correct. It's Tree versus Maimon in the Battle of the Echoes. Here to kick things off on Gardens. Ooh, early positioning out of ISU. They kind of got the favorable rollout, and it's going to give them a lot of damage onto Infected and Sam here early. But Tree over the top, they end up Winthrop winning the battle of who's going to kill the Maga first. With them out of the way, Sam and Rack are able to find the tilting balance in that fight. First cap will go over to Winthrop.
Yeah, they got Infected so low early in that fight, but they couldn't finish off the job. And I think that was a big mistake of theirs, not being able to get that early, and then they basically trade out Kuffa because of that.
Quick run back there from Infected. It's allowed Kuffa to move across, and we're going to get Shadow Step from Lethal. You get a little space here in the tea house. Or dojo, whatever you call it. It's actually a tea house. It's not a dojo. Death Blossom available here for Lethal. Oh, the Turkish Terror just absolutely shut down. The boop, the kill, the orbital, all throw it in. Here from the Eagles, and Winthrop traded out in a 2v1. Once again, neither team with a Maga on the battlefield. But you know what? You've got the doppelganger here in the form of Maimon's copy. He's kind of holding the fort for a moment. Gets chased down as Tree finds the kill with the focusing beam and lands all 5 stickies.
As, man, that fight went so well for Winthrop. I mean, the only thing you can probably say is, you know, you don't have the orbital ray in the next fight, but they pretty much kept every other ultimate available at their disposal. So despite ISU having the ray difference, Winthrop can just compensate by throwing in a couple extra ults.
And Winthrop still have plenty to work with going into this next fight. They do have the orbital ray advantage, perhaps the most powerful ultimate in the game right now, but a big overrun from Infected, trying to go first into the backline. Luke Mino did invest in that big ultimate, and Duplicate used onto a Juno just to try to peel here for Admiral's rally. It's still not enough. Sam throws a Death Blossom in on the front line, and Winthrop clean up on both angles.
Winthrop coming out of the gates looking so impressive. Their teamwork is on point, and Tree with that Echo has been absolutely dominant in these skies. The amount of burst damage they're getting, and the DPS Sam and Tree have shown up today.
So far, they've been dueling cage fights simultaneously on top of each other. Maga's going to go down first. Infected in a lot of troubles. Lethal's able to kind of sneak in and find just those direct point-blank shots. Sam trying to give chase, but is it a 1v3 on the point, and ISU will grab their first percentage of the day.
As it's going to be a tough uphill battle to go 99-99 at this point for ISU, but they got a lot at their disposal. Lethal has that Death Blossom once again. First one didn't go as planned, so hopefully they can make this one work, as Maimon also has built up to another duplicate heat. That's the one thing Maimon's been doing. I think Tree's been a little bit better in this Echo so far, but Maimon's been farming these ults.
To it, there's the overrun, speed ring, and Kuffa goes all the way through. Duplicate used, and which kind of flipped the map here for a moment. Really, a move from ISU is all players jump the gap while Kuffa runs over the bridge. Now the duplicate Death Blossom, double Death Blossoms out from ISU on this point. Winthrop didn't stand a chance.
And you get that duplicate out from Tree. I think that was best case scenario for Winthrop. I didn't even realize in the midst of that fight they used the orbital ray as well, Jeff. That is
wow,
very, very bad for the side of Winthrop. ISU can now use both of their support ultimates, and it's slowly creeping closer and closer to this 99 cap for ISU.
Rally up for both of our squads, and there's that big orbiter we were talking about pointing right at the bridge. And Illinois State just fall into formation, run down the tank, catch Sam back behind, not able to retreat back, and a clean fight with both of those support ults invested from ISU. And they got the rally out.
Yeah, which is big time. I think a lot of this next fight is going to come down to how much value Sam gets out of this Death Blossom. You will be able to combine it with the cage, but Maimon, once again, can counteract, has the duplicate online again.
Once again, beating Tree to this, consistently staying about 25% ahead. They're going to move into the white room. Cage fight thrown in from Kuffa, now followed from Infected. Sam already down, cut down moment they pop their ultimate. Maimon pops a duplicate rally and here's Maimon has such awesome duplicates. I mean, it just seems to always pick the right tool for the job, and it's going to be a 100-point swing back here from ISU.
It's you know, you bring that up, I was thinking the same thing, because you know, normally when you're playing the Echo, you think, okay, Mauga's probably the one you look to the most. Maybe Reaper is like a secondary one, but in that situation, given what was going on, the Brig was actually the perfect copy there.
Big braid stuff out of Maimon. And that's that experience.
And man, just when you thought, you know, man, Winthrop, not that Winthrop still hasn't shown up to play, but you're like, man, 99% like that. Just snap your fingers. ISU's like, yeah, well, we can match that too. And they win the first point. So when ISU really knows how to flip that switch.
I mean, and spectacular teamwork isn't just about, you know, attacking the same target and focus fire. It's also about who's going to use their ultimates when and where, and ISU just dictated that the back half of that map perfectly all the way down the board. Now Lethal here with a lot of chunky damage right out of the gate. Lethal's just looking to murder this whole team.
And Lethal, he's such a classy guy and big time leader for this team. Like, plenty of his interviews were, man, I just love it when not only do you have a talented player, but they're also just a class act, and that is what Lethal is.
I mean, Lethal has been at the center point of two of my favorite moments in collegiate Path to Pro history. But we'll get back to that in a moment here. We got a bit of an approach from Winthrop right up Main Street. A little loop-dupe around from Kuffa as they speed ring into the back line. Tree onto a Genji here, I just realized. And, you know, that you can see why. It was on the screen for about half a second before Maimon melted him down.
As things were getting a little bit difficult. Death Blossom online. Lethal's going to pop it and finds one, but Tree gets him.
That was like a clean-up Death Blossom. It felt like Illinois State should have been able to find the kills there, but they ended up kind of separated. With, you know, Kuffa playing on Coast. And, yeah, interesting traits coming through from both teams as both Maugas find some picks.
We see Maimon trying to build up to the blade. Do we get the... Yes, we do.
It's not going to last long. Ooh, actually, you got 3 seconds of this blade. Is it enough? It is! Yuffie is down. Not before they get their orbital ready onto the point. Rally invested in here as well, but saw a couple of red X's pop up there from Maimon as they throw in the focusing beam to try to finish off what's left. Cage fight thrown in from Infected and blade out from Tree. Tree gets shut down there. Admiral able to find those 2 kills before falling in their own right. Now, looks like it's just Reapers and Echoes versus Maugas. There were no supports left here.
Sam did use that Wraith form, but he's able to get out and get the healing.
It ends up 1 and out over Illinois State as Kuffa, so there's the flip.
Yeah, that's what we were looking for. I mean, all in all, expensive for both teams. So, I mean, all in all, Sanchovy still, Sam's going to be able to use this Death Blossom. Lethal will also have him, but Maimon's also going to have the dupe to be able to throw into this fight. That might just be the difference maker for ISU to be able to flip the point.
See if Sam can get something with this Death Blossom. Not able to. The iframes of the duplicate from Maimon are perfectly timed. Although without Luke Mino, ISU are in a world of hurt here. So they're not gonna get much after Maimon's kill.
Haven't been calling out Infected's name this series so far, but that was a massive slam when, you know, I thought, you know, oh, this is my money's going to build up to that Death Blossom and make it happen, but the slam just absolutely negated everything. Lethal still has a Death Blossom to be able to commit of his own into this fight, and it's the only ult that's currently online if he gets aggressive.
He was hoping Winthrop were going to push White Room.
Yeah.
Short teleport to the high ground. Now she's going to drop it right on the corner. Nasty Death Blossom. The slam does interrupt it, but not before Sam is down. 2v5 on the point here from Winthrop.
And not only was Sam down, but they did enough damage to get a second kill in the meantime. Point flipped, and with all those late staggers, it's going to be tough sledding to even be able to get a touch at this point. 90% of counting, and they're just waiting for all the different directions they can come from. As we see Sam trying to make his way.
Yeah, Lethal's read this, though. Is there to mark. Admiral Mimone winning out on the front line. And there it is. ISU, take map 1.
Like, it took a little bit for the Redbirds to get going, but once they got their momentum and everyone on the same page, it was very tough for Winthrop to find angles into these fights. There were moments of brilliance, but ISU's teamwork, and again, we always talk about how, you know, ISU relies heavily on teamwork, this, teamwork, that, but they also have the talent and the star power to go along with, you know, great comms and great teamwork.
Yeah, ISU's the best of both worlds, no doubt. And we saw a lot of that on display here. I mean, just, you know, the prowess out of Lethal. You know, I was talking about, you know, Lethal being at the center of, you know, some of my favorite plays in all-time history of collegiate and path to pro. And, I mean, a lot of it was making a swap to this Reaper. You know, we had both of them involved Lethal and Vision, by the way. But when ISU made a swap where Lethal goes Reaper and Vision goes to hit scan, and they turn around and completely win contenders on the back of it. Now we see Lethal dominating once again, you know, 2 years later, and is still the Reaper master.
It is great to see. Winthrop had their moments, so I don't necessarily think all is doom and gloom. ISU, yes, they handled their business after that 99% that Winthrop was able to gain in that second map. Didn't feel all that close, but right. I still think if you're Winthrop, you have angles, and you just gotta. I mean, Lethal is just doing such a great job in the front line of throwing all this damage down early on. If you can just mitigate that damage early on in the fights, I feel like you can do this.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get Lethal out of those difficult spots. With that kind of experience, on Reaper knows exactly where to sit. I mean, I'm thinking, you know, we're hiding on the corner. You know, initially looked for a spot where they were going to stage up on top of that little server piece, then ended up hiding on the corner for the Death Blossom. It's so hard to kind of interrupt that into... you got to disrupt the staging. You can't let Lethal get set up in those positions in the first place.
We do know that Winthrop has pick and hybrid, so we know, you know, we're just going to stick to good old classic hybrid map number 2 shenanigans here. The question is, do we get what you kind of imagined, where it was Lijiang, Kings Row, Runasapi? Still waiting on the ban from ISU to see what they're going to do here. I mean, my guess is, once again, they're just probably going to ban like a dive map, and then it's going to be what does Winthrop pick after that. But
right.
That, I don't know. I'm hopeful, but at the same time, man, whenever ISU gets a grasp on the meta, man, it is so tough to break this team. I mean, because like you could say, you know, in certain situations, like back in Owl, for example, like London was the pinnacle of we are the best, like teamwork team in this league. Like we just work so well together. We're always on the same page. That's how we beat a lot of teams. But when they come against like some of the Korean teams who just have so much more talent, in this situation, it's like ISU has the talent and the teamwork. And when they understand the meta, it's really hard to beat them.
I mean, they are pretty unbeatable, it seems like. I mean, they've been flawless through this season. I mean, have been pretty flawless through the entirety of collegiate Overwatch across the board. We do get that pick coming in from at number 2. It was a Midtown ban out of ISU. And indeed, we are getting a Kings Row pick here from Winthrop.
Classic Overwatch maps, no surprises here. As I mean, even last series, Kings Row was very, very entertaining. I mean, we got that Hikendo Widow plays that were just absolutely nasty. Some of those headshots, and this is where we first saw the May come out for the side of Arcadia as well. So curious if, I mean, it's less doubtful to see wrinkles happen when we get to some of the, the top tier teams where it's just like meta, 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 meta. I did like seeing the Genji come out of tree. It had its moments. If they can, especially on King's Row, I think there's a chance for this Genji to do some damage if they so choose to continue to go down that path.
Yeah, and we kind of saw how the Genji is used in our previous match. We're able, to get a couple of maps in where we were seeing Pip on the Genji and how they're able to kind of get in and, if not get a kill on the backline, distract the backline long enough so that you can win the Malga fight, because the Malga's not getting the support they need. So, but in fact, Tree does look to be showing us the Echo here. It looks like we're going straight meta. No Pharah, no Genji, no variants on this one so far. I mean, there's still a few seconds for Winthrop to change their mind, but I don't expect them to.
I think, they kind of saw how the Genji went on the previous map, and I think they liked their chances being able to just match this. But I mean, Tree was absolutely doing great on the Echo, so I don't think there was reason to necessarily go to the Genji, because Tree was matching Maimon just fine on the Echo.
I mean, and Tree is kind of the NA Fleta, I feel like, where Tree is just good at anything. Yeah. And, I mean, what made Fleta so good in the Echo, meta way back in the day, and the reason they got MVP, was just being so versatile and so outstanding on the Echo in particular, and with all the dupes. Tree has that kind of power, has that kind of experience. I mean, it's just that kind of a prodigy here on this Echo. And it's already, leading the DPS. And I say that, Mamone doing a lot of work on the other side for this defense. We're going to get a little bit of a roundabout as the map has flipped. Winthrop now in kind of the defender's position behind Hotel. Sam looking to clean off the statue. Nobody has gotten a pick just yet, but Winthrop now moving in. A lot of guns pointed down towards Kuffa. Kuffa's going to fall, but the defense strikes back threefold.
Dang it, in the meantime, Maimon gets the Reaper and the Death Blossom off. Man, Maimon builds these ults fast. It is ridiculous. And, they trade Kuffa out, but Kuffa will be back fast. I mean, I guess it costs you an ult, you could say, if you're ISU, but I mean, you get the cleanup of the team fight, and you're already going to be a minute and a half off the clock already for Winthrop.
And all the while, Maimon is getting further ahead in the next dupe, because Trey has to find a spot to use this, right? So they're not building ult charge anymore. Well, that's a weird speed ring from the defense. I'm not quite sure what you were trying to do with that. It is throwing infantry pretty early in this fight, as we're going to get orbital rays from both of our squads. That's a Tree Death Blossom in the middle, and the Prodigy answers back.
Double Death Blossom, actually. Sam and Tree combined for massive amounts of damage on that play. And Rack Attack able to clean up, and this, ISU will have a chance to, re-engage here, and they'll have the rally to be able to commit.
Yeah, there's lots of time for this re-engage. You can see Maimon's even kind of moving in through house to set up the flank. Expect to come in from behind. Here comes the overrun, and on the back, rally immediately popped, as well as Cage Fight. Cage Fight just got infected in it, who popped their own Cage Fight, but Maimon comes in off that flank beautifully to pick off Ultraviolet. Cut the knees out from underneath this attack. And Winthrop go back to the drawing board.
Kind of, what we kind of expected there. The re-engage was so strong. And the fact that you were able to keep and hold on to rally as, Admiral was, it's just such a good ult to try and outlast that Cage. And now Maimon can pick and choose what he wants to dupe here. And really, that's going to be the only ult in play for either team.
Look how far Maimon's gotten ahead in this ultimate battle. Rush through Hotel. Maimon catches it beautifully. They just circle around while Winthrop push forward. They leave the backline vulnerable to an attack. Maimon comes up with another pair. Now has that dupe ready.
Yeah, it says I don't even need the dupe. My stickies did the job on their own. And then Lethal's there to just clear. I mean, the tandem between these two, the burst damage between Lethal's Reaper and Maimon's Echo is just so much for Winthrop to be able to deal with. They're just on the same page, unleashing so much damage onto this battlefield.
They expect this duplicate to come out. Oh, Tree's done. Yeah, Tree just took way too much damage early. Headshot on to Sam. You still don't need the duplicate. ISU are going to win this one out in the neutral. 30 seconds to go.
You did use the Death Blossom here, Lethal, so they did commit that ult. So you at least got that out of the way. But 30 seconds left on the clock. You have Orbital Ray, 30% advantage on Ultraviolet as well. So this is looking bad for Winthrop.
One wants to get full held on Kings. Overrun and from Infected just didn't quite land. Doesn't know which way to turn as Lethal on one side, the duplicate Mimona on the other, Orbital Ray coming down Main Street. Infected just bolts, just takes off to the objective. Leaves the backline totally vulnerable. Both supports are cut down. Now it's just 2 DPS left on the point. Excuse me, Rack was there for a split second, but only a split second.
As the ISU dominance continues to show strong on Kings Row. First point holding Winthrop, but only allowing them to get 88, almost 89%. As pretty clear ISU, all they really got to do is cap this first point, essentially, and they'll be up 2-0 on their rivals, Winthrop.
I mean, Sir William Mamone, my goodness. What a showing on that defense.
Absolutely insane.
Insane.
I mean,
you could try, Tree's like the best, one of the best DPS out of NA. Well, guess what? Mamone's Welsh.
Exactly. That's why I was saying we're having like the best NA Echo probably going up against the best EU Echo player. Even DPS in general, in my opinion. They're both just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love me some Kevster, but man, Maimon has been on the rise in the EU stonks in the DPS.
I mean, Kevster and Sparker still exist.
Yes, of course. I love me them, but yeah, just the rise Maimon has been on. Like I remember when he was first on the UK, the United Kingdom World Cup team.
You bet.
I was like,
yeah,
and I'm like, okay, I kind of like this guy. I've been watching, and then like he's just gotten so good over this past year and a half.
Yeah, we've actually seen him play for SSG a little bit. But living in the States, it has made it a little difficult. You don't see Mamone play very often there. But I think Seal is still on the SSG roster. All right, ISU on the attack. No changes compositionally. It's going to be a high ground defense, how to Winthrop. Positioning a lot of people around the point. We haven't seen this as much in the Margameta. We typically tend to see the hold at the statue. And this is why, is you're going to see Tree get separated from the pack, not able to disengage cleanly with the rest of the team, and Winthrop gets picked apart. I mean, this might just be the map.
It might be, you might be able to get a staggered touch, but it feels like it's all but over. We get the touch coming in from Sam. He has gone down, and
that's it.
That goes to ISU. That's it, folks. That was blink of the eye, and ISU's up 2-0.
Redbirds continue to dominate. It's the word that keeps repeating here throughout this series. We're only 2 maps in. And I mean, talking about the history of this Redbird squad over the past years, since this new roster, since Cuff and Mamone coming into this roster, this team has been a tour de force, and they're showing no signs of stopping on this one. I mean, Winthrop will get another map pick coming in. We're gonna take a little break. When we come back, we're gonna head to push, see if Winthrop can find their footing, find a way back into this grand finals.
Oh man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh God! No, come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh!
So things started off really close there on Lijiang Tower. We had a bit of a back and forth. Both teams able to find some footing, find some team fight wins. Not so much on King's Row. Not so much on King's Row. ISU up 2-0 after a 5-minute Kings full hold. Not a pure full hold, but a full hold nevertheless. And a, well, I mean, dominance. That has been the word of the day here for this series, at least. Dominance.
Yeah, that map was faster than the break we took in between this series. So we got Push is our third map type. We do know that Esperanza has been banned by ISU, so would not be surprising if we're going to Runasapi once again, but I will hold my breath until we figure that out. But
don't hold it too
again,
long. That's not painful.
The story of the series has just been ISU has their rhythm going. They're absolutely dominating. The DPS just explosion between Maimon and Lethal has just been obliterating the front and back line.
I will say Kings Row is a lot more claustrophobic compared to, you know, any Push map, really. But particularly the one that we have lined up, we do get our pick in. Again, it was an Esperanza ban coming out from Light and ISU. Wheats and Winthrop have chosen Runasapi. We have a lot more room to work. There's a lot more room for Tree and Sam to find some pathing around and open up some space for them to do what they do best, move in and find some kills.
Yeah, I'm going to be very excited to see how this goes. And Runasapi is a very, can be a very like flank heavy map. So at least that's on the table for either of these teams. If, you know, maybe we see like a risky flank out of someone to try and, you know, throw things off or try and just make a play. So I'm very excited to see what this map can bring to the table. I mean, if it's anything like what happened in our last series, it's going to be very tightly contested, very close. So as you mentioned, this is a map where even if you're in a situation where it's like 125 meters to 0 and the other team regains control of the bot, it's not over.
By no means. I mean, that's exactly what we saw in our D2 Grand Finals. It was 119. I don't think it was quite 0, but it was like 119 to 15, I think, at one point. And we see a complete swing back. The map ends 119 to 116 in a very last final fight to determine the map. This is definitely one of those where momentum will carry you far, which means an early fight win is extremely important right out of the gate, but it also means you can't ever really let up. You got to be super careful with your pathing and not overextend at any point in time. Otherwise, this spot could swing back entirely the other direction.
No changes coming out from either team. No Genjis on play, but it's no surprise here. Skies are pretty open in the air for the Echoes to be able to get a lot to work with. So
5, 4, 3,
gonna have to see
1.
how this map goes as the doors open up, the bells ring, and it's time for the first fight.
Keep an eye on the pathing of the DPS. You can see Sam already kind of leaning towards the center, where ISU were staying very bunched up along this coastal side. Just point all guns in front direction. Sam rejoins him. It's just going to be a big brawl right there on the front line. Oop, nice little rotation here. This is the pathing I was talking about. Able to kind of come in on the side of Winthrop, get some good damage in on Tree and Infected. Or Lethal is forced to back away. Still, the pressure mounts. Overrun coming in doesn't quite land. Infected actually gets the good counter overrun. As such, they're able to back out. Both Magas end up dead. ISU in control of the bot and looking to prevent the retreat. Really good positioning out of Lethal here. Kind of caught Winthrop as they were looking to back away.
And he's looking to try and get Rack Attack out as well, but he's able to get away with that nice shield bash to get away. But they're able to get out. They should be able to regroup as the distance has only been continuing to gain for the side of ISU, and their players are pretty much back at this point, so no harm, no foul.
Tree staying a lot more equal with Maimon in the duplicate charge, which ended up being an important factor there on Kings. Nice overrun lands from Kuffa, though, and the Death Blossom is, well, was in for a second. I think Lethal got interrupted out of that one. Still Infected goes down on the back of that. Couple of kills, more meterage, including the checkpoint picked up here from ISU.
I felt like the damage had been done, at least onto Infected specifically. The Death Blossom got him low enough for them to finish it off. Yeah. Didn't matter about the interruption. And again, this is an early checkpoint game, but we have to keep in mind, as we talked about coming into this map, if Winthrop can just win a fight and get some momentum going, this map can be flipped on its head.
So Blossom thrown in from Sam, completely interrupted. Now we're going to get the duplicate from Maimon. That was nasty. Had the orbital couple on top of it, and it takes down both supports. The second Death Blossom, the better Death Blossom. The Doppelganger proves to be the dominant one in this one.
We say that, but this next fight, I mean, we're going to have the rally to combine with the cage fight for Infected. The one thing ISU could get going for them is Lethal getting this Death Blossom, and he will get it online for this next fight.
Yep, the old dance studio combo. Stuff will set the stage. Lethal go out with the disco dance. There's the overrun in. Everybody's caught in that. The rally is up. Is Lethal able to drop in? The shield bash was used. Lethal in the middle of everyone. That was disgusting.
Yeah, I was so worried because I saw those come in. I'm like, oh, he doesn't have the Death Blossom just yet. And then Kuffa went down. I'm like, oh, but if he gets in position, and then he had the best positioning ever for that. An absolutely clean shot.
Oh, and watched perfectly for that. The shield bash from Rat catching it in the middle of that cooldown to ensure that that incredibly entrenched position on the Death Blossom was not interrupted, leaving them vulnerable and surrounded. Ends up being a monstrous play there out of Lethal. Now we got a duplicate coming up online from Amon as ISU just staunchly holding this corner in a bit of a back and forth between the two teams. Lethal getting some position up on the stairs that has to back away. Now we're going to get Kuffa going in to anchor. Duplicate dropped. Amon's going to use that ultimate advantage here in this fight. Try to couple with Lethal to go chase down Rack Attack. They're going to find that kill, but they lose one along the way. So this fight's gotten a bit messy. Tree in a bit of trouble. Has a duplicate. No chance to use it.
There's a lot of damage just thrown onto Infected's side. He is able to stay alive.
No way you survive through the shotguns too, though, right? Amon did so much damage with the focusing beam that Lethal gets the kill before just noping on out. Regroups with Kuffa.
Yeah, but these close spawns for ISU, I mean, they're already here, ready to contest the cart.
Oh yeah, they're going to be right back on top at this point. They're going to come intercept on this corner so they don't allow Winthrop that street to work with. Ooh! The move on the Ultraviolet eventually brings him down just on the edge of that AoE damage. Infected trying to run in. It just has no health to work with. The duplicate even invested here from Tree. Winthrop still struggling to find their footing, even with the trades.
Yeah, every time they seem to win a fight, these forward spawns, ISU comes back able to re-engage with their ult to keep going, and they have 3 ults still commit, and they've gotten Sam down.
Yeah, that is a horrible turn there for Winthrop. Sam caught completely away from the rest of the team. In a spot where Winthrop need to set up for a coordinated counterattack here. They need to try to force ISU back, give themselves some room to work, but they end up just kind of with their backs against the wall. And the moment they push out, Lethal and ISU push right back in.
Sam uses the Death Blossom there, gets nothing during this orbital ray from the side of ISU, and they are just 10 or so meters away from completing this map. Death Blossom available.
I mean, are we looking at a tier break between ISU and the rest of Collegiate? Is that what we're seeing here? I mean, Infected's able to get one, but the cage fight's going to deny a touch. Rack does make it back onto the point. Ooh, Rack stayed alive with it. Okay. Winthrop, right when I was saying, hey, what's going on here? Winthrop dig deep and find themselves a dub.
They were like, whoa, Jeff, hold on. Like,
settle down.
They're like, I get what you're saying, but come on, it's not that. It's not that yet. As we see Trees on the venture right now, so this is very interesting, but I mean, again, ISU's right here. They have Rally, they have Duplicate.
Yeah, I mean, that's Winthrop are caught with no ultimates and on a less than ideal composition coming into this with Trey on that venture. They're really able to duck around for a moment before Lethal finds them with the headshot. Infected is just surrounded here. That is going to be the fight. ISU are about to just start marching back the other direction. You know, at least Tree gets a chance to swap if they want. They're sticking with this.
Yeah, I mean, they're close to Tectonic Shock. ISU doesn't really have any ults anyway, so I guess you can afford to continue to play with it. But I don't know. Again, I think it'd just be better to get back to that Echo. The burst damage and the focusing beam is just so valuable in this comp.
You know, maybe a good combo with the cage fight be just the ticket here. Well, in fact, it's nowhere close to that ultimate. Sam does have a Death Blossom. Winthrop finally pulled the trigger. Saw Kuffa kind of running backwards, and Infected decides to try to capitalize. Keep an eye out, though. ISU trying to see if they can buy some space, see if they can pull Winthrop in. Winthrop have ults to work with. Cardiac User Infected is keeping him standing here on this corner long enough for Sam to throw in the Death Blossom, but the Orbital Ray is in, and ISU are still 5 strong. Tectonic Shock falls flat as well, and despite the ult advantage, Winthrop just take too long to get him out of the battlefield.
I was literally going to say, it just felt like a timing issue because that Orbital Ray was able to come online for Luke Mino, and it was just devastation.
I mean, a really good peel out of ISU in that previous fight, and there they hold him in. And there's going to be no swing back on Runasapi this time. My goodness, 140 to nothing here on Runasapi.
You do not see that every day, as maybe that question still reigns true. Is there a tier break between ISU and everybody else in Collegiate? I mean, might be, not trying to, you know, from the good old Avast, there might just be 2 tier breaks. It might be ISU tier break, Winthrop tier break.
Well, I mean, there's also, it's in this meta. Let's specify. I don't mean like across all metas for all time or anything like that. I mean, specifically right now in this meta, it definitely looks like ISU are head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. I mean, this is the number 2 seed, definitively.
I mean, you're literally, okay, so I'm not trying to say like Lethal can't play other heroes, but I mean, Reaper is one of his best. You're at a meta where he can play one of his best heroes, and then Maimon, incredibly gifted on the Echo as well. And then Kuffa's always been an extremely talented tank and very versatile, but it just feels like it's the perfect characters for these players for the side of ISU.
I mean, and they were dominant before they fell into this meta, before Lethal was able to play on this Reaper. Now we still saw, you know, a decent amount of Echo in the Orisa meta, but it feels like the perfect storm for Redbird's, you know, just total absolute dominance of the entire collegiate landscape. This has been, I mean, what a telling match. This is the final collegiate match of the semester across the board. And this is how ISU want to leave, how they want to go into 2025, is with this kind of a performance that no one else is even close.
Yeah, and they'll be able to go into finals week with just ease of mind, knowing everything's over. We dominated, we made the statement we wanted to, and then they'll be able to go to winter break, have fun, enjoy themselves, and come back for another highly contested spring semester and see if they can continue their dominant run, as a lot's going to change over that winter break. We got a new season coming in with a new tank, and who knows what balance changes that comes in. So get your rest while you can, because you're going to have to start practicing some new comps. I based on the way Blizzard releases their heroes, wouldn't be surprised if we're in a Hazard meta when he comes out.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, always love to see a new hero, not to mention a new tank. Nothing will change the meta more than introducing a new tank into the system. We saw the power that Maga has had. The last tank we saw introduced, and how the dynamics have changed. Now we're going the whole other direction. As far as we're going to dive tank into the mix. Honestly, I think ISU will just be as good as that. I mean, Kuffa's best hero is Winston. This is we're talking about a strong picture for ISU, but it's not that way for their tank.
Yeah, so we're just going to have to see, as we do have what could be the last map pick coming in from the side of Winthrop, ISU.
I mean, you are factually correct. It will be their last map pick either way, whether they win it or not.
It is their last map pick either way. You're right. So the map type picked by ISU was Flashpoint, and we are going to New Junk City. Winthrop going to have to win 4 maps in a row if they want to win the NECC Division 1 Fall Championship.
Yeah, 3 of those being chosen by ISU. But again, first things first. I mean, Winthrop need to get a point on the board. They didn't get a single meter in that last map. They did not get a single point on the board in Kings Row. I mean, I think first things first. Let's just get a point on the board.
As it could be it. ISU could absolutely dominate 4-0 and move into the next semester feeling good about themselves. Or maybe Winthrop pulls something out. I do see Infected highlighting right now that Junker Queen. I think, it's definitely a viable option if they want to go that direction. And at this point, switch it up, man. Because it hasn't been going well for you in the Malgamir so far.
This could just be the ticket. Especially when you're able to get Tree in more of a pop-off role like the Sojourn. And have one of the strongest DPS we've had come up through Path to Pro over the past 2 years in a role where they're able to have a lot more influence over this map. So, I mean, keep an eye on Trace. Early picks can make all the difference. Early damage on Nakuffa as well, just could tilt the balance here.
You'll see Kuffa making the dive in, trying to set up some kills for their team. Again, Winthrop needing to find these picks early and quickly.
As Ragtag gets absolutely smashed. It's going to be a bit of a separation there. Yeah, Winthrop, they disengage in all different directions. And ISU, I mean, very cleanly move in. Now, Lethal gets picked off, trying to follow Rock Attack down into the low ground. You can see Infected getting an assist on that, and there's Tree lighting the feet. So 3v3 now on this point for first control. Admiral barely ducking around that Carnage, but he's going to get yanked back in. Nice Gracie lands, and could just be the end of Admiral. But you know what? Luke and Cuff have been able to clean up here. Nice shots from Sam. Does finish off Luke, but Admiral stayed alive the whole time.
Lethal has swapped over to a Sojourn of their own. So, I mean, really the only difference is the tanks in this situation right now. And the real difference in that fight was ISU was able to pick off Ultraviolet while Luke Mino stayed alive. So they had the heals available to them, and that made all the difference.
Pretty close to an overclock. We did see, I mean, had a very important pick through that last engagement that, kept Winthrop in it for a while. Now it's going to be a full rotation. The entirety of Winthrop are coming around on this flank. Can go with the overclock in, and Lethal. Oh, took a headshot right on that one. Beautiful shot. Now the rally, though. Admiral looking to chase the Tree down. Stickies land. Everybody was pointed at Tree. But the peel is too good. Now, Infected does get caught out in a big overrun. That smashed Tree and Rack Attack. And it looks like ISU might still be able to hang on despite the opening picks out of Tree. Good look at here out of Sam. Has Cuff a bit off more than they can shoot. 84% on the board with multiple ultimates used to counter Cuff's cage fight on this outside. It looks like Winthrop are going to win this one out. 96% on the board. Orbital Ray is going to fade. Can anybody get to the point? Yeah, they've got it. They've got it.
Oh, okay, just in time. It's a little worried there, but
me too.
Feels pretty good. And Kuffa has swapped over to a Junker Queen as well. So we're in a full mirror. Let's go. We got JQ versus JQ on their home turf. Luke Mino, however, going to go over to the Kiriko. Lethal going to have available to them the overclock, but Infected has the Rampage, but Kiriko Cleanse available.
Yeah, it's exactly why Luke Mino makes the swap. I mean, there's also, you can get some of that dive pressure. You can kind of switch step in. We're going to get this overclock from Lethal here early, shooting all the way across the arena with my Moan playing deep by themselves on that flank to capitalize on the distraction. My Moan still sandwiching in from the back line, and Sam goes down. What a play out of the Welshman here to come in and catch Winthrop. Totally flat-footed. The flip is here, and that's first point going over to ISU.
No Rampage even used for Infected, as look, Mino might even be able to get a Kitsune rush for this next fight.
That's nuts.
ISU has shown, like, hey, you know what? We will match you in this Junker Queen, and we're going to go toe-to-toe with you on it anyway.
Now I have defender's advantage here, trying to protect this high ground. Sam making a swap over to the Genji, trying to play down low, see if they can, equalize the amount of flank pressure that Mimona has been displaying here in this fourth map. Rampage up top. That's going to find two. Luke Mino cleans Lethal, but Cuff is still purple. Still a bit low. Duplicate now in from Mimona to try to take the aggro. Looking to chase Infected on out of here. We'll get that kill with some help from Lethal.
As my Moan is showing to be able to play these tanks very well. Knew the great combos to be able to hit there, found the kills. May not get the Rampage, but the damage has been done. ISU got control of the second point, trying to build to it. Tree, however, did great with the overclock on the first go. Has another one to be able to use.
Woo! That was beautiful. My goodness.
Oh.
Rally now up here from Luke. Cuff is going to rampage in. I didn't see anybody purple, but Tree's immediately dead. So you got to assume that they were hit by that rampage. We're just getting a little bit of a stagger kill here.
Point was capped.
Yeah, it got flipped. It got snuck out from underneath.
Yeah, Sam getting that, which is actually kind of huge. I mean, stealing away a good 17%, 18. I mean, imagine if all that would have been in favor of ISU, you'd be in Final Fight territory. Exactly. Ultraviolet can now use this orbital ray coming into this next fight, and Sam's that much closer to getting this blade.
Expected the knife up top, drop down. Perhaps to draw some attention. Maimone tries to shoot out from that top side and runs right into tree. Kuffa also with an aggressive move. We saw Redbirds try this back on the first point, and it worked about as well as it did here. Now the Birds find themselves in a 3v5 as they look to hold on to the back of this objective. But there's the touch and there's the cleanup.
99% gain for ISU, so they're really just playing to try and win one more fight. They have a lot of the tools in their arsenal to be able to do that. Lethal will have the overclock to go along with a Kitsune Rush. They just got to make sure they limit this Blade Orbital Ray combo.
And how exactly do you do that? Seems like that's going to be so difficult to get away from, right? It's going to be go first. That's the plan. As the Kitsune Rush is thrown in alongside an overclock with Lethal playing on this deep angle. The orbital up top, but Sam just doesn't get to combine it with the blade. Doesn't get the value that they're looking for out of that combo. Looks a little disjointed. And it's 2 on the board here for ISU. Winthrop have yet to get a point.
Exactly. They just went fast. The orbital ray and blade didn't even I feel like Sam went for the blade before Ultraviolet was ready to use that ray, and it just got desynced, and it just kind of collapsed on itself. ISU only needs one more point to make themselves the grand finals champions. They're going to have a rally and a rampage to work with. Tree, however, it's overclock.
Not to be underestimated. Take over here just in a heartbeat. That's a full rail in the chamber as well. Oh, that's a good rampage. Tree's already purple as they pop the overclock, and Maimone hunts him down. The Prodigy will not get a chance to pop off here in this opening fight. Rally from Rack Attack just to try to get away. Sam's able to get one, but Rack Attack is yanked in, and my poor son gets cut down.
Yeah, unfortunately, and because ISU is playing the Kiriko, this Rampage from Infected just doesn't feel like it's going to have that staying power anymore. Like, it really felt like for a long time when I would see the Jumper Queen go up against these compositions with the Orbital Ray, it felt like the Rampage was like the Ray counter. You just anti everyone and they can't get as much value out of it. But
oh, that could be monstrous. 4 in, 3 of them cleanse. Now the Lethal did not get the Suzu and does go down, but Cuff is able to trade out into the back line. And once again, Maimone gets the better end of Sam.
Yeah, ISU gets the picks, but the point flip comes in for Winthrop. So again, they're just they just continue to get these nice little delays, and at least it buys themselves another extra fight.
I mean, yeah, once again, it'll be 80% on the board in a desperate situation here for Winthrop. As it stands, they get a chance to slow down just a minute, see if they can get UV's orbital online. They're going to need it once again, an aggressive play. And this one looks to be working out from ISU. As the Rampage is tossed in. Nothing to counter this. 3 are hit by the humongous ultimate out of Kuffa. And this is ISU cleaning up, just separating themselves from the entire rest of the collegiate landscape. They are going to 4-0 your grand finals and once again crown champions.
I was literally going to say you need to back out and let this Orbital Ray plus Blade work its way in, but ISU just got aggressive, used that Rampage, and man, that was so just well done by ISU.
Luke. Look, doing it all. Ultimate in 2 picks, keep up your critical teammates. Seems like ISU can just do it all. Nothing they can't play. No one able to challenge them, at least, I mean, in the entirety of 2024, it basically feels like.
That's the thing that, just going back to the old days with ISU, and it was Wheats and it was Flutie running the organization, and, them really putting ISU on the map, Flutie did. I was really curious when I heard, Flutie was going to, take a step back and, not be in this. I'm like, who are they going to have to replace? And I think, they picked the right person to really do this. Light has come on and been able to take what Flutie built and just continue the tradition and continue just doing right by them, essentially.
I mean, I think even pushing it further, pushing the team further, pushing the squad further, and pushing this legacy one step further. I mean, we may be going into the year of the snake as far as Overwatch is concerned. As far as I'm concerned, this was the year of the Redbird.
And it's just going to be a beauty to watch and see how they continue. And also, it's like, Light also kind of like brings like this confidence, like swag to them. Like the entire team just has this vibe where it's just like, nah, man, we're gonna come in, we do what we do, we know how good we are, and we're gonna dominate. Like, and that's just really cool to see. To have the confidence and to be able to back it up, essentially.
Gotta love it. Huge congrats. A well-deserved, complete victory. I mean, you just look at that. Nothing but zeros down the board, Ray. They couldn't get a single point on the board. Not only is it a 4-0, like, you know, this was not close. This was not like, it was a close sweep. No, they didn't get a single point on the board.
Yeah, as soon as that
Runasapi, that's not a single meter, by the way, on Runasapi.
Yep.
If you didn't see that was not a single meter. 140 to 0.
From the 99-0 to the 99-99 on guardeds. It felt like Redbirds just didn't look back. And I don't know if Winthrop just felt like that was our chance right there. And we kind of like blew it. And it felt like almost like, you know what I mean? Because, they beat them in the winners finals. And they come back and they lose in grand finals. And you just get deflated. And they go, well, we got to play them again at NECC. And they go, great start. And then it's just ISU just comes back and it's just like, we got 99%, but they stole that point from you. And I don't know if it just got in their head, but after that, it just did not look that good.
The retake. I would take it one step further because there was a good attack on Kings there in the beginning. And we saw Winthrop coming off of Lijiang Tower, going to Kings Row. They start us off on attack, and they're able to, I think it was second fight, but they're able to win that second fight and get some real presence there. But it was such a brilliant disengage out of ISU, and they come back in with that retake where they had the time to send Mamoon on the flank through the house, and then they just converged onto the point. That seemed like the crushing blow. Like that was the haymaker that Winthrop just never quite got their footing after.
Very good point. I didn't even the getting the 99-99 back on Lijiang Tower, but that's a great point because they did come out pretty strong on Kings Row, and then once that win got taken out of their sails on Kings Row, it felt like, man, that was our second chance, and we blew it once again. And
I think the 99 comeback's like the big body blow, like took some of the wind out, made them, it kind of did that, and then there was the big haymaker in Kings, and then it was just. Winthrop just couldn't ever get it back after that one.
Very unfortunate, but once again, congratulations to the Redbirds. What a dominating 4-0 victory. They shown us why it feels like they're the top of collegiate, and no one is even close to them as it sits right now. We'll have to see as we enter the winter and the spring semester and how the meta shift and how all these teams get affected by it, but as it sits right now, ISU are the Kings and no one's close.
Well, that does it for your 2024 season. Fall 24 is wrapped up. And it's going to be 2025 in the future. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this season. It's been a fantastic semester. Can't wait to see you all back here. I hope you'll have a wonderful holiday break. Big shout out to our sponsors, Winston's Farm, hanging out with us for the entire season. And we have G Fuel here. Now we have a giveaway. We have exclamation point giveaway in exclamation point G Fuel in chat for an opportunity details to win an entire tub of G Fuel. Gotta love the support for Collegiate Overwatch. We appreciate your support here for Collegiate Overwatch week in and week out. But have a wonderful holiday break. Have a wonderful Christmas. We'll see you back in 2025. Bye, friends.